everybody. Welcome to this afternoon's pre-drive safari on safariLIVE. Now, it's myself and Brian and the thumb, which you're not allowed to see until a little bit later, so you get to see his juice. The other hand, the left hand. I couldn't work out there for a moment which thumb you use. Now, something very, very important. I hope you're all paying attention, because Brian and I were having a serious discussion just a moment ago, and we were discussing how low can our voices go. I think it should be how low can my voice go and how high can yours go.
Yeah. Okay, Brian, how deep is my voice now?
That's pretty impressive. And yours?
Decent. It's very, very decent.
That's lovely. You've got a lovely high-pitched voice there, Brian.
Sorry. It's very, very, very nice.
I don't know if I could do the whole show like that. If it could be done. Because my lovely voice, which it's not.
That's your lovely voice.
Yeah, I don't know. I got a little bit home. Now Brian's doing Barry White. Yes, but we are on a bumble at the moment. Jamie's in the other car. She's in Rusty this afternoon, and Steph is walking. We are driving around looking for animals. We've also got schools joining us this afternoon. So remember, we've got 2 schools that will be joining us for the first 45 minutes of Game Drive. Hopefully we find some really cool animals for all the lovely children to see. Maybe some leopards, hopefully some elephants. I know that's what Jamie is going to look for, is the elephants. We are going to very quickly check this leopard tree where there were leopards this morning. I don't know if there's still going to be leopards here now though. We'll check. I'm also checking for tracks. But nothing just yet. But I also wasn't concentrating because I was trying to perfect my deep voice. Oh no, it doesn't look like there are any cats in that tree. We'll have to go in and investigate a little bit further. But luckily Steph's around. So Steph is with Rexon and Craigie, and they will give us a helping hand if we can't pick up on anything. Just going to go a little bit further down. No dangling spots from that tree. So I left a little marker for myself this morning. I put a big log in the road so I wouldn't forget where the leopards were. Okay. I've still got a horrible tickle in my throat. But yes, Wendy's back from the hospital because I broke her this knee. Sorry, Wendy. Served her right for misbehaving over the last few weeks. Someone's got to be the strict parent. It's me. Not even one leopard out of the 3 that were here this morning. They've all gone. Don't they read the books that people write about them? Oh. No leopards. Okay, that's fine. We'll go check somewhere else. We'll just turn in here. We're going to have to do some serious searching. See, they were sitting just up there. Oh, Brian, there's a tree behind us. Oh, rookie error. I'm trapped. I don't know what to do. I'm panicking. Okay, we're going to drive straight here. We're going to just search around on the ground. Let's check here, because we know that these little cats, these Shongile and Hosanna, absolutely love to sleep underneath the bushes. Doesn't look like anything is here. So maybe Karula's caught something. Remember, she went off hunting this morning. I think that's what's happened. I'm hoping Karula has caught something and they've gone off. But they were all scattered around here, which is very sad, which means we're going to have to do a bit of tracking this afternoon. And hopefully there weren't too many animals that were walking around and squashing the leopard tracks. Whew. It's an absolute scorcher. We're going to say goodbye to all of you now, and hopefully by the time you come back to us, we will have a spotted cat for you.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
On a blisteringly hot afternoon, we've started off our afternoon game drive with a lovely view of a warthog family having a bath. This is safariLIVE.
Ready.
What a wonderful afternoon to go out on an afternoon's safari. And as I mentioned earlier, starting off with a family of warthogs snuffling about in the grass. They've just run and had a quick mud wallow, so they are all soaking wet and I suppose a lot cooler than they were earlier. And if you look closely, you might just see a little piglet or two. They might pop out just now. There we go. And just while we're here, a very warm welcome to St. Anne. Sorry about that, everybody. We disappeared briefly. I was chatting to the schools that have joined us this afternoon, and I said that I hope you're all very excited to be on a live safari. We've got quite exciting things planned for you this afternoon, starting off with a lovely collection of, well, just general herbivores. Oh, look, look, look. Back in again. Decided that the earlier wallow wasn't too warm. Have a quick roll. Rolling on its back, and we don't want to miss these special moments, so we'll just watch this warthog as it wanders off. And then I had best introduce myself before the piglets don't disappear. Okay, quick introduction. My name is Jamie. Dave is on camera with me. We are coming to you live. Don't disappear. Oh, I knew that was going to happen if I tried that. Please, questions. And we're back again. Please send through your questions using the hashtag safariLIVE on Twitter. We will be answering them as soon as the kids who are all watching us have to go back to their school day. Have a look at this. A herd of zebra, also known as a dazzle of zebra, with their beautiful stripes, impala wandering behind them, and then at the back, lurking like a figure out of some sort of dark mythology, is a wildebeest, hanging out with his friends, the zebra. What a lovely scene. All, of course, completely oblivious to the fact that they are probably about 100 meters away, or 100 yards away from a pride of lions that we were with this morning. You'd best be careful, zebra. There are lions here. And they haven't found any buffalo recently, so you would definitely be on their menu. What do you think, Dave? Should we try sneak a bit further forward? I think so too. And the zebra giving us a wonderful demonstration with all of them clustered together as to one of the reasons, and there are several, one of the reasons why they have stripes. And one thing that it does help to do is break up their outline. By the way, I'm eyeing this patch of shade greedily, Dave. I think perhaps if we parked ourselves here, we might even see the warthogs again. No, that was optimistic to the point of foolishness. No, it wasn't. Welcome to Husna. It's wonderful to have you here. Now, apparently where you are having some serious storms, and you were wondering how much rain we get in this area. Round about up to about 500 mil is our average yearly rainfall. However, we have been really, really lucky this year. Last year we had less than a quarter of that. So South Africa actually went into a really serious drought. And it was terrible to witness because apart from the fact that there was no water, there was just no food for the animals. And we were seeing the impala, the warthog, even the zebra that you're looking at the moment were looking the thinnest I have ever seen them. And a lot of animals actually ended up dying as a result of the lack of food, which is why this year, when Tropical Cyclone Dineo passed through, we were so grateful for even just the little bit of rain that she presented us with, because of course she dissipated when she broke over Mozambique and just sent us really just smatterings of rain. And that's why the grass is so nice and lush and green. This is our rainy season. We don't get any rain during our winter months. So in summer, this is when all of the rainfall needs to fall. And if it doesn't, then we know that we're in for a difficult year. So there's the stallion on the right. He's about to disappear behind the bushes. And then accompanying him is his harem. So a zebra stallion collects a harem of females that he is very, very protective over. He takes great care of them, often fighting off predators to try and protect his mares and his foals. And he'll slowly, throughout his life, collect mares that will then follow along with him. Aren't they beautiful in this afternoon light? There's an impala as well. It's a species of, our most common species of antelope, and probably the most numerous mammal that we see. There's over 100,000 of them in this reserve. This is a really nice way to start off an afternoon. Impala are all clustered in the shade. It is quite hot this afternoon. I'm not sure exactly what the temperature is. If I had to guess, I'd put it at around about 86 degrees Fahrenheit. There's the little ones scampering about, full of the joys of spring, and not as relaxed as the adults. Oh yes, there's our warthogs. Wonderful. Thank you, Dave. Well spotted. Apparently the official temperature is 29 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. So pretty much spot on. You can get the mud caked all over the warthog. I'm not the only person out here. There is also a lady called Taylor. She'd like to say hello to you all and show you some interesting birds.
Good afternoon and welcome to, well, Brian and my safari this afternoon. We're looking at a massive herd of impala. I don't know where to look anymore. We're surrounded by them. Now, my name is Taylor, and on camera with me is Brian. And have a look at this guy. This is the Thumb, who is a caterpillar. Today, congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Butterfly, who have laid an egg and successfully raised one caterpillar. Are we going to watch the caterpillar grow?
We are indeed.
Brian says we're going to watch the caterpillar grow. Now, I know we had some birds, but let's watch these impala because they might do a really cool big jump for us. Look at them go. So there's little ones, there's big ones, and they have got the most impressive jumps. They're also the long-distance jumping champions here in South Africa. There are lots of antelope that can maybe jump higher than they can, but they can jump the furthest. And they can almost do a complete leap of about 10 meters in one go when they're running fast as they can, though. Now, hello, Kylie. Kylie, you've asked if it's fun to be on safari every single day. It is the best thing in the world, Kylie. I can tell you that. Imagine coming out every day for at least 6 hours. Sometimes we're lucky and we get to come out for a bit longer, and we get to spend time with all these animals. Don't you think that's amazing? Get to drive around, drive a cool car, go off-roading, do all these amazing adventurous things. It is so much fun. And you know, you can even become a guide like I am. You know, it's very, very easy, actually. You just got to have a passion for wildlife and, of course, people, too. You've got to enjoy people. But I can't believe this big herd of impala that we've got here. There's even one that stopped for a drink using the puddle that's in the road. Excuse me, I have a little tickle in my throat. I have had a tickle in my throat. Oh, leapt over the water. Oh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Now, that's a young boy, the one with the horns. I'm not sure if Jamie told you about which ones have horns and which ones don't. So all the boys have got horns for the impala, and the females don't have any horns at all. So you can see there's a nice mix here. Lots of boys, lots of girls. Oh. And listen to how quiet it is out here. You might even hear the little impala making a noise. They sort of sound like this. How do they sound, Brian? Meh. 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 This is obviously us making this noise now. Look at them. They're all moving across. They've obviously been feeding out in the open, eating grass, having a quick drink in the puddle in the road, and I think they're going to move into this thicker area because it's a little bit cooler. Out in the open in the sun, it is very, very hot. It's 85 degrees Fahrenheit out here on this very, very sunny day. So you can imagine they do need to find little spots to try and keep cool. Oh, she didn't mind getting her feet muddy at all. Actually, watch her. She might try and shake all of the mud off of her feet. Now, look at the little dance that she's doing. No, now she's stopped. She's obviously used to walking in the mud, but sometimes when the little ones step in the mud, they're not so used to it, and they'll shake their feet quite a bit. You can even see the little ones from this year. They're only a couple of months. There we go. Thank you so much. Now, Avery, thanks, Chris. Sorry, I heard the question completely wrong earlier. So, Avery, you're wondering, how does the leaves and the grass help the animals? Well, it's really interesting, actually. So, you have lions and leopards and all the predators out here. Now, they eat something like impala. So, impala are very important to have around. But a lion and a leopard cannot eat grass. They cannot eat the leaves. They're not able to digest and utilize those proteins that are in and the carbohydrates that are in the grass. So that's where the antelope, the impala, the kudu, the waterbuck, the wildebeest come into play. So they're able to utilize all of the nutrients in the grass and turn it into proteins that they're able to digest. And then the lions and leopards and the rest of the predators can eat them. So you see there's a whole circle of life going on here. Without the impala and the antelope species, the predators would not be able to survive because they are not vegetarians. But they are able to eat anything. These impala, they eat fruit, they eat leaves, they eat grass. They're very, very lucky. They eat a lot of different things, and that's why they're one of Africa's most successful antelope. There are very few species of antelope that do as well as impala does throughout Africa, and that's because they're able to eat more than one type of food. But at this time of the year, after we've had the big rain, so we get rain in summer, they'll be eating mainly grass. Hello, little one. See, that's a little boy. Sorry, Kirst, I'm just having a little bit of a problem hearing those questions coming through clearly. There we go. So we are out here in Africa, of course, and sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to always hear what's going on. But Natalie, I've got your question. Now you're wondering if we collect their antlers. So Natalie, they aren't like antlers. They're not like the deer at all. Antelopes are slightly more different. So if you look at a boy, where's a nice big male impala? We have to find one to stare at. Have you found one, Brian? Your eyes are much better than mine. So Natalie, they don't shed their horns like a deer would. So a deer once a year will lose its antlers, and you can then collect them. But impala will have its horns forever. So it only gets one set. So if they're in a fight and it perhaps breaks, it will have a broken horn for the rest of its life. Can you believe that? So it's a little bit different to antlers. But there are lots of impala here, and I don't think that this is one family. I think this is quite a few different families that have joined up together, and I'm sure that they will split up and go their own way. This is amazing. We don't normally see such big groups of impala in this area. They're normally much smaller groups. So you've met Jamie, you've met me, and you've met the Thumb and Brian, of course, but there's one more person who you haven't met yet, and he is very brave. He is walking around on foot, so I think it's about time you go and meet Steph.
Thank you very much for that lovely compliment. As you can see, I am bald. Yes, and I'm also burning something, which is awesome. I know all of you at school over there love burning things, and I do. I'm almost 40 years old, and I haven't lost my touch I haven't lost my need to want to set things alight out here in the bush. My name is Stefan Winterboer, and yes, we are on bushwalk here in the middle of the African bush, in the same place that Jamie and Taylor are driving around in today. And I want to show you something. I want to show you that just because we live in the bush, it doesn't necessarily mean that we don't need to still maintain acceptable levels of hygiene. I'm sure you've heard and are sick and tired of your mom and dad telling you to brush your teeth after every meal and keep on with good oral hygiene, which is of course fantastic advice, and you must absolutely carry on with that. But I'm going to teach you how to look after your teeth in the bush. So what you need is a piece of bark. That is a piece of leadwood bark, and I got this piece of bark from this big white tree that's behind us now. That is a leadwood tree. We use its bark for toothpaste. And what you do is you burn it a little bit. Now I've taken the liberty while I was waiting for you just to set it alight a little bit using my magnifying glass. So what I've done is I've just concentrated a beam of light onto the bark, and as you can see, it starts to smoke. You see the smoke coming off? Make sure it's sharp as possible. So I'm burning the end of the piece of bark. As you can see, it's turning it into an ash. Now the ash we use is very coarse, and it lets it grind a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just wait for that to cool down, because otherwise I'm going to burn my teeth. So I'm going to wait for that to cool down. While I'm busy waiting for it to cool down, why don't we go make ourselves a toothbrush? And for a toothbrush, I use this tree. Now Parker, you've asked me, do we get wildfires here? Parker, we absolutely do get wildfires here. We don't find them at this time of the year. Parker, we get our wildfires anywhere from about June all the way through to about November is when we get our wildfires. Everything now is a little bit too green to get wildfires at the moment, but yes, I will be very careful with flames if it was any of the months between June and now. So what I've done is I've just picked myself some of this guari tree. This is a magic guari tree, and they make the best toothbrushes. Now I'm going to put my toothpaste down here just for a little bit while I make my toothbrush. And for those of you that are going to be trying this in your garden when you get home this afternoon, remember, knives are sharp. Have your mom or your sister or your dad help you. But you shave your stick. So you can see I've shaved my stick. Now I make my bristles. There are my bristles, coming along quite nicely. As you can see, this is quite dangerous, so you don't want you to try this at home without adult supervision, all right? But you make it look like a chessboard. And there is my toothbrush. Now you chew it a little bit, just to make it soft, because otherwise your gums will come out. All right, now I have my toothbrush. There's my toothbrush. Look at that. Professional toothbrush, even if I do say so myself. So now what you do is you take your ash from your leadwood, you put it in your teeth. The ash. Then you take your toothbrush and you brush your teeth. Remember, use circles, as the dentist always says. Spit out the piece of wood. And when you've finished, as you can see, you've wiped off all the ash, and hopefully with the ash being quite coarse, and that's why I use this ash, it's rough. The rough ash would polish your teeth and polish all the bad things off your teeth. And then rinse. I don't have much water where I am, so why don't we use a bit of sweat? Rinse. Spit out. Let me use one of these leaves. This is a cedar leaf. You can use that as a paper napkin, nice and soft. And now, of course, we need a breath mint. And for a breath mint, I use this plant right here. This is Lantana rugosa, or a type of wild lantana, and I pick a little bit like this. And for freshness of breath, place 2 or 3 of these lightly on the tongue. Nice minty flavor. Yeah, my teeth are clean, I have a nice minty flavor. I can take my toothbrush, flick it away, take my toothpaste, flick it away, take my breath mint, flick it away, find some more later on. And we can carry on with our bushwalk, which is proving to be quite nice in the afternoon. I must be honest with you, it is baking hot at the moment. It's probably about 90 degrees Fahrenheit, I must be honest with you. And it is hot. Catherine, you've asked me, do I get hot weather often over here? We absolutely do, Catherine. This is a part of South Africa that experiences very high temperatures. It's not uncommon for it to go to 110 or even 115 degrees out here, which is very, very, very hot. And it's not uncommon for it to be hot like that for 4 or 5 months of the year. It very rarely gets to below freezing over here. I would say that in all the years I've worked here, and that's been now almost 19 years of working in this particular area, it's only gone below freezing twice that I can remember. So it's a very hot place, very hot time of the year is February, and of course, that is how I like it. I'm not a person who enjoys getting cold, and so the hot weather suits me fine. All right, now that you know about teeth cleaning here in the bush, we're going to carry on trying to find you something else quite special to look at, and you off to Jamie, who's got a rather nice surprise for you.
A lovely surprise. Remember how I said that the lions were just a few 100 yards away, in fact 100 yards away? Well, there we go. Here they all are, doing what lions do best at temperatures like this, which is curl up as tightly as they can in the shade and flopped down, breathing rapidly, panting away and resting up in here. So this is a really, really dense tambuti thicket. So it's basically impenetrable for us. So we can't get a better view. There are actually 3 lionesses in there, believe it or not, and 6 cubs. But unfortunately, they've all moved even further in than they were this morning, so it's really difficult for us to get a good view. But nevertheless, exciting, I'm sure, for some of you to see a lion live here from the middle of Africa. There you go, you can see there's a young cub, youngish cub. That cub's trying to suckle. Unfortunately for this particular cub, the lionesses are no longer producing milk. All of the cubs are weaned. He's basically just trying its luck. I saw them doing this last time as well, essentially just licking the belly of the lioness in the vague hope that perhaps it'll be able to get the last few drops of milk. But, little cub, you are out of luck. Mom is definitely not still lactating, although she seems to be tolerating the cub's attentions. She's not too bothered. In fact, she could not look more comfortable if she tried. Now, Jay, you want to know where in South Africa we are, which is quite pertinent when we look at the lions here, because it is an area very, very close to the highest concentration of lions in Africa. So we are in a place called the Greater Kruger National Park, which is made up of the Kruger National Park and then a whole load of reserves surrounding it without any fences between them. And that is up in the sort of the top northeastern corner of South Africa, and it stretches all the way along South Africa's eastern boundary, right up to Mozambique and Zimbabwe in the north. So if you have a look at a map of South Africa, there's a sort of a little bulge in the top northeastern corner, and that is where we are. And it is 8.5 million acres of wilderness without fences and protected area for all of these animals. Look at this cub licking away. And that means that it is 4 million football fields in size. It's bigger than some small countries. It really, truly is an absolutely massive wilderness area. And what that means is that these lions can live completely 100% protected, but also completely 100% wild. And these are wild lions. They're not afraid of us because there's been years and years of guiding to help to get them used to the presence of vehicles. So they don't see us as a threat. They also don't see us as a meal. So they're not going to come charging over and jump into the vehicle with Dave and myself. We would be very surprised, wouldn't we, Dave? Oh, yes. Leslie, you want to know how long cubs will nurse for? Leslie, it's a couple of months. They start to eat meat at around about 3 or so months, and they are fully weaned by 6 months. But from 3 months, the process starts, and they start to feed off meat more and more regularly until by 6 months they are completely 100% weaned. Now, some of these cubs are now, the oldest cub must be nearly 8 months old now. Am I crazy? No, I think I'm right. I think the oldest cub must be nearly 8 months old. Now, Lisa, you want to know what the survival rate of lion cubs is. Lisa, it depends very, very much on the area that you're in, and it depends upon the circumstances. So they've probably got around about a 50% chance of making it past their first year. And that's just because there are so many threats out here, potential threats. Now, the one thing that lions do very, very well is cooperative breeding, essentially. So the lions synchronize their estrus cycles or their heat cycles. So they're ready to mate at the same time. And then they have their cubs roughly around the same time. And then what they'll do is they will suckle each other's cubs. So the whole pride is basically invested in looking after these cubs. And for that reason, once they're sort of moving about with the pride, they've got a good chance of surviving because they've got, they've basically got bouncers as mothers. Lions are the biggest predator out here. They're 130 kilograms, which is over 240 odd pounds. So they really are very large and very protective. However, the biggest threat to now these cubs at this age is if another group of males were to come in. So at the moment, the dominant males in this area are established. They've mated with these lionesses and fathered these cubs. However, if an unusual group were to come in and displace the current dominant males, then the new males will kill all of these cubs. And unless the lionesses get very lucky, they probably aren't going to be able to protect them. So that is basically its life's chances. It could be that the dominant males in this area will stick around and protect these cubs until they are fully grown. It could be that they could be displaced. Chances are, though, because it is 4 youngish males, chances are these cubs are going to be absolutely fine. Now, this pride of lions is called the Nkuhuma pride, and it's a pride of lions that we spend the most time with. There you go. Kimmy, you wanted to know what the pride's name is. So, Kimmy, it is called the Nkuhuma pride. Now, Nkuhuma is the name for a type of tree out here called a brown ivory tree. So it is the Xitsonga name for a brown ivory tree. And apparently it came from the fact that the Nkuhumas spend quite a lot of time underneath an Nkuhuma tree in the shade. So the Nkuhuma pride, there are 5 lionesses in this pride and 6 cubs. Now, these lions are doing what lions do best. Benjamin, you want to know how often lions sleep? Often. Up to 22 hours a day, particularly if they've got full bellies, and particularly on hot days, they can sleep for up to 22 hours a day. Then they could have a burst of activity. So these lions haven't eaten in around about 3 days. So as it starts to get dark tonight, they are probably going to get up and go hunting. And while they're hunting, they could cover easily 10 or so miles in a night. So it's not that they're lazy animals, it's just that is the way that they're designed. They're designed to spend long hours asleep, particularly during the heat of the day, because lions overheat very quickly. And then to be active nocturnal cats when they go out in search of food. But if they've got a buffalo kill and enough food to last them for 3 days, they'll sleep for most of it. They'll sleep for 22 hours and spend the other 2 feeding or drinking. Or growling at each other, overfeeding. I don't think these lions are going to be up to terribly much this afternoon. I think they're going to spend the rest of this time fast asleep underneath these tamboti trees. We'll have to come back and visit them a bit later as it starts to get dark. Now, Angie, you want to know, what do lions eat? Angie, lions are what are known as obligate carnivores. In other words, they have to eat meat. So these lions hunt things like buffalo, which is essentially the South African or the African equivalent of a bison, where you are. They hunt buffalo, zebra, waterbuck, antelope, warthog, all those animals that we saw a little bit earlier. Those would all be on the menu for these lions. Generally, the more lions you have, the more mouths there are to feed and the more numbers there are to hunt. So a larger pride of lions will generally go for larger prey. But sometimes antelope get unlucky. You can imagine if you were an antelope, you were wandering through this woodland, and all of a sudden you're on top of a pride of lions. They could actually potentially catch an antelope in that way, but it's not really a meal for them. That's more of a snack. If they can eat 5 to 10 kilograms of food in one sitting, Now, Timothy, you want to know how do we know how old the lions are? That's a complex question. We know how old the cubs are because lion cubs generally grow at a relatively standard rate. And also, we started seeing the lion cubs when they were very, very, very small. One particular litter, the youngest litter, we saw when they were around about 10 days old. So we have been watching them for a good few months. But in terms of aging lions, the most accurate way is to look at their teeth. Unfortunately, a wild lion is not going to just say "ah" when you ask it to. Well, you have to wait for them to yawn, and you can have a look and see whether there's any damage to the canines. Are they chipped? Are they yellowed? Are they blunted in any way? There is a sort of a theory that is wrong, that you can age a lion by looking at the coloration of its nose. However, it does sort of get it right, but it's a generalization. So usually young lions have pink noses, and those usually go darker with age. But you've got to be careful because sometimes you get aberrations where an adult lioness who's 11 years old has a bright pink nose. It does happen. So you can't use that as a totally accurate way of aging the lions. The nice thing about this reserve is that even prior to our arrival here as guides, there have been guides monitoring these animals for years and years. So they've sort of really come to know the family tree quite well. Natalie, you want to know how big a pride of lions will get. Well, this is an average-ish sized pride with 5 lionesses and 6 cubs. And sometimes they get a little bit bigger. Sometimes you only have a pride of 2 or 3 lionesses. And remember that a pride is made up of only females and their related cubs. So you can also get prides that are made up of 20, sometimes even 30, even 40 individuals. Oh, wow, well spotted, Dave. How cool is that? I was just thinking how much I was enjoying sitting here with the smell of elephant dung wafting around me. So obviously a herd of elephants walked through here before the lions were here. And what we have here is a very busy dung beetle who has rolled up a pile of elephant dung into a massive ball, much smaller than himself. Oh, dear. Well done, buddy. You got over the obstacle. And he's now in the process of taking it off. Now, it could be one of two things. It could be a food ball for him, or, most likely, it is a ball of dung that he is going to try and use to attract a female. I don't see another dung beetle on there. He doesn't seem to have found a mate yet, but that is what dung beetles do. And the reason that they do that is they will roll that dung ball, find an appropriate spot for it, and then the male will dig down underneath the surface of the soil. He will have mated with the female, and they will lay their eggs in the middle of that dung ball. And it looks to me like he's going to bury this one. So I think perhaps it is a food ball, not a breeding ball, because he doesn't seem to have a lady friend with him. But what they'll do is they'll lay their eggs in the middle of the dung, and so when their larvae hatch, they actually have a ready-made food source that they can feed off before they're ready to molt and become an adult dung beetle. So dung beetles are amazing that way. They are experts at finding dung, and they are very, very good flyers. They're not particularly good landers, though. They really aren't built with equipped landing equipment. They just kind of tumble out of the sky and hope they land on their feet. I think he's burying that. Well spotted, Dave. I'm going to leave these lions and go off in search of some elephants, I think, on this nice hot afternoon. Perhaps they'll be busy having a bath. However, let's go and find out how Steph's walk through the bushes is going. Sorry about that. Steph is not going to tell you how his stroll is going because he's having problems with his signal. So you are still with me. That does happen on these live safaris. Fortunately, we still have these really sleepy cats. I can hear the elephants. And the bad news is they are on the other side of our boundary. Oh dear. My hopes are dashed. Parker, yes, essentially lions will only eat meat. They can eat plants. Generally, it's only when they have a bit of an upset stomach or they have a particularly empty stomach and they're feeling nauseous from the hunger pains. So like your dogs and your cats, I don't know if you've ever seen dogs or cats go outside and eat leaves and plants. They do that when they don't feel particularly well, and lions are exactly the same. And often it's to actually make themselves bring up whatever's made their stomach upset, so to help them to vomit it up. Righty. Let us try that again. We, of course, will eat both meat and plants. Let's go and find out what plant Steph has found and if perhaps it's edible.
This plant is most definitely not edible, Jamie. This plant will dry your mouth out faster. Actually, it is edible. Let me rephrase it. It's not going to be nice to eat, but it's good medicine. If you've got a runny tummy, you make a tea with the leaves of this particular plant. You crush the leaves, and then you eat or you drink the tea, and it'll cure a runny tummy. But I like using it for something else. It gives you these lovely fibers, these long fibers. This tree has kindly decided to loan us one of its branches. This is a cluster leaf tree. It's a silver cluster leaf tree, and as you can see, the bark comes off in these long strings, and that is what we're after to make this next thing I want to show you. Now, when you're surviving in the bush, or when you're trying to live in the bush, one of the most difficult things to come by is stuff to tie things together. I mean, how do you make a shelter if you can't tie two sticks together? Or how do you build a raft to get off a desert? I'm just using my imagination here, of course. Raft to get off a desert island if you can't tie anything together. And so the ability to make good quality rope is one of those things that you learn very, very fast out here in the bush, or you don't go anywhere. You have to learn how to make good quality rope, and this tree makes some of the best rope. So what you do is you peel your stick, which will give you lots of these long strands of bark. Now I'm going to pick the two longest strands of bark. I'm going to leave the rest over there, just so I can show you how we get going with all this and what am I going to do with it. Alright, so you pick your two longest strands without dropping them. Hopefully they're around about the same length. You then twist one just to start. You can see I'm twisting it. You then twist the other one to start, like that. Same direction when you twist them. So I'm twisting them like this. So if I twist forward towards you, I roll backwards. So twist forward, roll backwards. Twist forward and roll backwards. Avery, you've asked me, do I wear any special clothes or armor when I'm walking around in the bush? Avery, I don't think I've ever been asked a question like that before in my whole life. Or armor. I'd love to wear armor, to be quite honest with you. I think it'd be making tracking and finding lions that much easier, Avery. No, I don't wear any special clothing. The best thing in the bush, though, is to wear clothes that don't shine too much, Avery. So what you've got to try and do is you've got to try and not be reflective. Animals can't really see color that well. We see color, one of the best animals on the planet that see color in actual fact. There are animals that see better color than what we do. But to be honest with you, we see some of the best color in the world, and that's why colorful clothes work for us. But what we don't want to do here is stick out. And so as you can see, my clothes are a mixture of different bush colors. And what you've got to try and aim for is you've got to try and aim for colors that don't stick out and also that break your shape up a little bit so that you don't stick out. It's called a silhouette. A silhouette is something you want to try and avoid here in the bush if you can, if at all possible. And as you can see, if I move just behind this stick, the clothes that I have on can make me blend in quite a lot. Would you agree? So what you've got to try and do when you're out here in the bush, rather than having armor or anything like that, is clothes that doesn't make you stick out. You don't want to stick out here in the bush. So I wear clothes that don't reflect light, that are the same color as the bush around us, and that way I stay hidden in the bush here. My rope is not coming out that well. I think we're going to have to take some time to do it properly. So twist, backwards, roll forwards. That's all you got to do basically. Just follow your own advice. Twist backwards, roll forwards. And you'll see what happens is you start getting a cord that starts to develop out there of rolled fibers. Now when you get home today, you can go and have a look at any of the cord that you've got inside your house, and you'll notice that it's made up of a bunch of fibers that have been twisted together and then rolled with a friend. And then that bundle is twisted together and rolled with a friend. And you'll notice that even massive cables, in particular cables that are made of natural fiber, are all woven in this way. And it started thousands of years ago by people just like us living out here in the bush, needing a way of making cordage. That's what this is called, cordage, and living off of the land. So you realizing what plants give you the best cordage, what plants are best for medicines. This particular plant, for instance, will give you a very bad runny tummy. This is a laxative plant. This is a senna plant, and if you've ever been to the chemist and seen the medicine Senocot, the root of this tree gives the medicine that is inside that particular laxative. Senocot is, and then you've got the tree, the antidote right next to it. The Terminalia sericea is very, very good for runny tummy. So you've just got medicine that has been managed basically by all of the bush people over thousands and thousands of years. Now Dylan, you've asked me what would I tie together with this bark and this rope, and how would I make a house? That's probably a very good question, Dylan, because what you're going to need to do out here is you're going to need to get yourself a shelter from the elements, from the sun during the day so that you don't burn and that you don't dehydrate, and from the cold at night so that you don't get hypothermia and use too much energy shivering and staying warm, which leaves you lazy in the day, and so that you can't carry on foraging in a survival situation. So out here what you'd look for is you'd look for some straight poles. Now let's walk over to that tree over there and let's see if we can find a straight pole. So what you're going to do is you're going to aim to make a lean-to shelter or an A-frame shelter. There you've got a straight branch there. You'd break that branch off, you'd cut it off if that makes any sense. And I would probably put it over here. You could tie it, one end of the branch here, and you could tie the other end of the branch here. Tie it, that gives you a cross pole. From there, you can put out two side poles, one coming down this way, and one coming down that way, and then you can thatch it up. So you can basically do a lean-to shelter. And your teacher could probably show you on her blackboard what a lean-to shelter looks like. It's quite an easy thing to draw. Lean-to shelter. I would then thatch it, probably using guari. This is one of the best thatching materials out here because the leaves are evergreen and they don't come off the branches easily. You can see they stay on the branches, so it'll be fairly storm resistant, especially if you pack them nice and thick. And then for bedding, what I'd use is the leaves of this tree. This tree is the African weeping wattle, or the Peltiforum africanum. And you can see that their leaves form a thick padding. And I'd use this as a bedding. Now why you use a bedding is important, because at night time the ground gets very cold and it sucks the body temperature from your body, and that takes effort, it takes energy to stay warm. So you're going to pack underneath your lean-to some insulation, that's what it's called. And this is the best insulation that we have out here. So you'd make a bed from this, and then you'd build a fire, and with a fire you can stay warm and you can stay dry, and with your lean-to you can stay out of the rain. Now, Abby, you've just asked me how cold does it get here? Abby, it doesn't get very cold. We very rarely go below freezing here. So in our winter, which happens here between the 1st of June and the 31st of August, the 1st of September, which is our spring day, we have our winter, and the temperature stays quite mild here. It very rarely gets below freezing, below the temperature that water freezes. What that actually is in degrees Fahrenheit, I'm sure you'll be tested on in your biology or geography exams. I definitely cannot remember it. We work in degrees Celsius here. So for us in South Africa, 0 degrees Celsius is the freezing point of water. So it very rarely gets to below freezing. In 18 years of me working here in the bush, it's only gone below freezing twice that I can remember. So very rare for it to get to below freezing. But that doesn't mean that you don't need to sleep on insulation and have a cover that keeps the wind off of you, that can keep the rain off of you. And so that's what I would do out here with that sort of thing. Right, let's carry on and see if I can find any other useful survival tricks for you. Now Kylie, you've asked me what would I do if I got a cut and it started to bleed. That's actually a good question, Kylie. Let me look around and see if I can find a tree that we can use. So when I want the tree that I can, there we go. No, that's not, yeah, yes it is. Come with me. Come Kylie, let's go show you the tree that I would use. So obviously the first thing that you do is you push hard on it with a lot of pressure, Kylie. So when you're bleeding, you push hard with lots of pressure, and that should stop the bleeding. But then what you need to do is you need to stop it from hurting. Of course, it's important that we don't have any pain, and this tree is what we use as a mild painkiller. This will help. So not only am I going to be pushing against the wound with this tree, this is a sickle bush tree. This tree has got very well-known properties for pain killing. Can you believe it? Looks almost the same as this, don't you think? But the leaves are slightly smaller, can you see? I then chew it into a bit of a paste. And yes, it's not as nice as it looks. No, not very good. Not nice at all. I then pick some of the cedar that we used to wipe our mouth with a little bit earlier, and I put some of this inside that chewed up paste, inside the leaf. I then put it on the cut, and I'd use some of my rope to bind it down as tight as I can. That then should it should stop the bleeding. It's very good. Hold it nice and tight, and with the rope bind it, and it should stop the bleeding and stop making it sore. That work for you, Kylie? Hopefully, hey. All right, where are we going to go next, my friend? We're running out of options over here to walk through. Let's see if we can squeeze through here. Oh, that leaf does not taste very nice at all. All right, before we get Dave stuck in all this undergrowth over here, I think it would be a very good time for us to say goodbye. Thank you very much for joining us from your schools today. I loved the questions, and I'm very happy to have shown you some of my survival tricks and tips. We're going to send you over to Taylor, and I will see you next time.
Hello again, everybody. We're finally back, and we seem to have signal. Yay! Now, where are those antelope that I just saw bolting off here? There were a couple of racing around here, but they have now raced away from us. Where did they? That is amazing how they just. Oh, there they are. Oh, I was looking the wrong way for a moment. I thought they were further to my left, and I'm scanning, going, my goodness, these animals have got incredible camouflage, but they do. Even though my eyes don't seem to be working too well today. There are big groups of antelope out and about. We had a massive herd of impala earlier. There must have at least been 100, and this time I'm not exaggerating. And this is a fairly large group of female Inyala too. It's something that we don't always see. Normally we see groups of Inyala. You see maybe 2 or 3 females, maybe a big bull and a youngster. But look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, if I counted correctly. Inyalas. Rex is just trying to chat to me. Standing by, Rex. Let's see what he's got to say. Sorry, Rex, I can't copy you. We're tracking leopards, so... Oh, wow, this is a... Okay, copy, Rex. I'm just live at the moment. I'll Kaluma in 2 minutes. So what's happened now is Rexon's on the radio. He's on foot. He's walking with Steph, and we've been driving around trying to find the royal family, and they've given us the slip. Now, he's just said to me, we need to let Steph know that he's possibly found the leopard somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where, but we're probably going to give him a bit of help. Let me call him quickly again. Seeing as though Inyala are not hanging around. Oh no, they're talking now. But yes, this is a lovely group of Inyala. Look at all those beautiful stripes and the spots that they have on their bodies. And no babies, no teeny tiny babies. They've obviously grown so quickly that they've now blended into the adults. Looks like a youngster coming through the back. Or Karula, one of the other leopards in the area, has munched on them, which is not uncommon, especially because Inyala and bushbuck love to hang around the lodges. And the leopards are pretty clever. They work this out. And often, and I've often spoken about a leopard by the name of Lisbon, who I used to see regularly down in the southwestern corner of the Sabi Sand. And she used to just live around the lodge, and she would catch all the Inyala lambs. It was quite amazing, actually, to see it. So, unfortunately, those Inyala never saw any of their young turn into adults, but it meant that we often had little ones around the lodge, not for very long. But it's one of their favorite things to feast upon as well. Impala, Inyala, bushbuck, and they become very, like I said, very relaxed around the lodges and become a little bit too complacent. And as you know, if you become complacent in the bush, that's when things will sneak up and surprise you. Now, talking about animals, Tom, hello, you're wondering what my favorite animal is. Tom, it's an easy one, and I bet there's some viewers all shouting, elephants. Oh, favorite antelope, not an animal, antelope. Well, elephants are my favorite animal. My favorite antelope. I don't know if I have a favorite antelope, but I'll tell you one that makes me laugh quite a lot is an antelope called a blesbok. It looks very similar to a bontebok. I think Brent was actually showing some of you a couple of mornings ago in the tent what a bontebok looks like. There's a couple of very, very slight differences, but the blesbok, I suppose you could call it the goat of the bush. It's not the most intelligent antelope, but they can run pretty quick. And they were just always doing the funniest things. I don't know, they just, the way they ran around and chased each other, it always just gave me a good laugh, especially on the big open plains. And the blesbok always used to pose so beautifully at sunset with the sunrise, or not sunrise, with the sunset behind them. So I enjoy them quite much, and I must say I do miss their antics, especially when there was a lion in hot pursuit behind them. The lions used to, one of their favorite things to catch was the blesbok. And I actually saw one day, I'll tell you because I'm now full of stories, and one day I was sitting with lions, and I've told this before, but we've got so many new viewers joining all the time. We sat with lions. The last people to come to the lions, we'd waited forever because there was a long queue of everyone that wanted to go. So we went and had sundowners. They were so fast asleep, their ears weren't even twitching, their tail wasn't even moving. They were sitting in the long grass. We'd sat there for ages. I said to my guests, like, we've been patient, we've tried so hard. And I said, I just don't think they're going to move. It was a very, very hot day. And as I said that and started my engine, one lioness got up, ran past the vehicle, another one got up, and the entire pride eventually got up and ran past the vehicle. So I said to my guests, hold on, and then raced around, had to go all the way around back onto the roads because it's too thick to always off-road in the Eastern Cape. And as we pulled out onto the road, the lions killed 2 blesbok right in front of us. It was pretty amazing. That was really cool. So I miss sightings like that. And they're also running just straight down the road as if they didn't have anywhere else to go. So they're not the most intelligent antelope, but they make me laugh, and I like things that make me laugh. But look what they've gone. The Inyala have now gone onto the top of the termite mound, where that big boerbean tree is growing. And now I hope that they're going to let us know if these leopards are around here somewhere. Let me get hold of Rex again. No, I can't. I've missed my go. Got to be quick on the radio. Let's see. No, he's not responding. And that's just the last girl moving through here before she goes. Right, let's carry on. Let's see if I can find Rex, and that might be an easier way. And hopefully we'll have some leopards. But look how clear that sky is. It's beautiful. So we're going to keep searching. I need to have a chat with Rexon and quickly give him a hand with these leopards. Hopefully he has found them. So I'm going to send you back across onto the back of Miss Patterson's vehicle.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed that between Rex and Taylor, they managed to find the royal family. We've left the lions for now, and we'll come back a little bit later when it's more likely that we're not going to just be able to see the top of the head and an ear, essentially, in that really, really thick Tambuti thicket. So we'll come back a bit later and see whether or not they decide to pop out for us. Just quickly, I thought it was going to land in a much nicer position with the sun on it. It's a European roller. You got it, Dove. There we go, well done. Beautiful birds, but I was hoping that we might have a little bit of nice sun on it. The biggest of the rollers that we see here. You can see that really powerful bill built for catching insects. And we always encourage our new viewers to keep a bird list of the various birds. And we always like to keep track of when they go, when they come and when they go. This is a migrant species, migratory species. They arrived during our summer months, at the beginning of our rainfall season, and they'll be leaving in the not too distant future, Dave. The year is marching on already. It's autumn now officially, isn't it? I suppose so. I'm like Steph. I don't like to be cold either. Don't mind being hot. But cold, Okay, Rolla. You're beautiful. Not as highlighted by the sun as I was hoping. We're going to go and have a look and see what's happening at Buffelshoek Dam. So my aim this afternoon is to find some elephants, since it feels like a long time since I had a nice elephant herd sighting. I think the last time was with Fang's herd. And that, whilst that was truly enjoyable, it'd be nice to have an elephant sighting without a roof, now that the sun is out. And I also want to check on Gwen's den, out of curiosity, to see whether or not there's any sign that Gwen's come back to it, or if that warthog is still living there. I'm curious either way. But I suppose, since we're here, we should just stop and have a look at these owls quickly. They've been here every single day that I've gone past here. Wait, wrong tree, sorry, my mistake. I got overly excited. It's this tree that they live in. No, they're not here today. I'll take that back. They've not been here every day. It's the tree that houses our southern white-faced scops owls. And speaking of birds, I don't think I've ever seen anybody as excited as Brent was about the corncrake, and I understand why. It was very, very unusual sighting. But he was calling him the corncrake himself, the corncrake king, for a while last night. And we're going to go there tomorrow at some point in drives and go and see if we can find it again. He says, oh boy. Alright, but owls aren't in that tree. Maybe they'll be in the other tree that I've found them in before. I'm quite disappointed. I always love to stop and look at our white-faced scops. So the other two Nkomas are about 200 meters that way, just across the north boundary. I'm going to go off in search of owls and such things. Steph is on the search for something much more elusive. Let's go and see how he's doing.
I think we've actually found a leopard in a tree. Can you believe it? I know that we've been having so much luck with Karula and her 2 cubs. And to be honest with you, if this is Karula with Shongile and Hosanna, this would be the first time that I'm actually seeing Hosanna and Shongile, and we are 13 months into their lives already. I'm quite excited about it now. Come stand here. That big tree that you see there in the background is a jackalberry tree. On the thick branch, straight through there, is a leopard lying on a branch. Let's just see if Craig can see it. So you're just going in there now. There we go. That is a leopard, I think. Yeah. So it's just a bit tough because we're quite far away. There we go. You can see there's a leopard lying on the branch over there. Just to the left of the screen. There we go. Isn't that cool? Leopard on foot. Not a care in the world. Now I'll tell you how special this is, everybody. I know we've seen Brent on foot with these cubs. We've seen James on foot with these cubs. We've tracked them countless times. But leopard on foot is one of those rare African treats that very, very, very few people have ever been privy to. I've been guiding here for many, many years, and literally only in the last 5 to 7 years have I ever been able to approach leopard as relaxed as we are on foot. And the stories that we hear from the old men that have been working and living in this area for the last 100 years always talk of leopard as being devils. Unapproachable, secretive, shy, aggressive, reclusive, very camouflaged, very hard to track. And here we've got a leopard lying on the bough of a tree, not a care in the world. Very, very, very awesome. Now, of course, there are 3 leopard in this party: mom, brother, and sister. And I think what we need to try and do is get a little bit closer so the view is a little bit better for you. I don't want to chase that cat, but I think we can get a little bit closer. And I'm just basing that basically on James and Brent's experience with these particular animals. And then what we're going to try and do is, by some miracle, try and get Jamie or Taylor in here. It'll be very difficult to get them in here because it's very, very thick. Now I think come through here. This is just going to be one of those sightings, I think, that is going to be best enjoyed on foot. Getting a vehicle in here will be near to impossible. Now, I'm just wanting to take it a bit easy going through here because you never know where mom and brother can be. And although these cats are quite relaxed with us on foot, to be honest with you, what you don't want to do is get complacent around a leopard. They are singularly the most deadly of all the big 5. So he still hasn't moved off of that branch. He's still on that branch. Let's see if we can get you a better view here. No. Fortunately, it gets so thick here that to actually get a little bit closer, I think we might run the risk of actually getting him to come down out of the tree, which we don't want to do. What to do, what to do. I'm also just keeping my eyes peeled. Quite often, to be honest with you, leopard will literally hide when you can see them. They only move when you can see them. So I'm just a bit nervous around just walking around in the thick stuff here. Just want to see what he's up to. Okay, so we've got definitely one of the cubs has seen us. Come this side, Craig, I think would be the easiest for you. I have to probably get through the leaves and that onto that branch there in the background. Let's see if we can get you a view. And thank you so much to all of you for sharing my joy at seeing the cubs. I don't know what cub this is. I'm not that good at identifying them yet because I just haven't spent any time with them. To me, this looks like a young female, to be honest. And I'm judging that based on literally just the size of the body and the shape of the face. It's difficult to say, but in my experience, just the shape of the face of the female cat is just that much more pretty. It's got a feminine slant to it. Now, that cat has literally gone back to sleep on that branch, and I think we can, because of that, probably get a bit closer. Now, what you want to do is make sure that these animals always have an escape route.
Oh dear, it seems as though Steph has just vanished. We were about to do a little bit of a VR recording of our buffalo skeleton that is just next to Buffelshoek Dam. By the way, there is absolutely nothing at Buffelshoek Dam. Plenty of water, but no wildlife. While Steph attempts to find signal and leopards at the same time. Quite a scary task, but I'm sure if anyone is up to it, Steph is. We are with this buffalo that died last year during the real height of the drought. And this poor buffalo didn't even get eaten. That's how full our predators and our scavengers were. And that entire skeleton is intact, and I'm just itching to get my hands on it to try and put it together. It'd be the best jigsaw puzzle in the world. Hey, Kirst, for our next puzzle session. So while I gather up all of our buffalo, I'm not going to do that now. Let's go back to Steph, see if he's succeeded.
We've succeeded in getting a much better view of one of these leopard in the tree. I still don't know what it is. It looks like a youngster. It looks like a cub, one of Karula's cubs. For those of you just joining us, Karula is a female leopard. Dominant female leopard in this area. It's got two 13-month cubs, a male and a female. I think this is one of the cubs in the tree. And before you think that this is a normal thing, having leopard in a tree with two people standing on foot, literally 30 or 40 yards from these things, it isn't. It's absolutely unique. And unique to the evolution of the safari industry. And I say that because you literally are sharing a very, very special moment in watching or being part of big cat conservation. This leopard has come from a line of leopards that for centuries was in competition for man, for space and for food. And that bred a massive caution into these very intelligent cats. They were incredibly difficult to see. It was considered a lifetime achievement to see a leopard. To be able to photograph a leopard was something almost unheard of when the safari industry started about 60 years ago. And when the luxury safaris started about 40 years ago, it was considered a massive prize to see leopard. The Sabi Sands is world renowned for having some of the best leopard viewing on earth. And 40 years later, I'm able to stand 25 yards from a leopard who doesn't even lift the head to look at me. Now, while I'm taking that as a bit of an ego bash, at the same time, I'm celebrating the fact that this cat is so comfortable with people on foot in close proximity to her that she doesn't even care, or he doesn't even care. I mean, it's just honestly just a diary moment for me, and needs to be, all of you out there across the world that have shared this journey with safariLIVE and Wild Earth and all of us. It's a landmark moment. Honestly, this period, these cubs, it really is. Reshifting some weight there, lying on a forearm. Cannot even, to be honest with you, I'm actually flabbergasted. When I started guiding 18 years ago, for me to be in a car this far away from a leopard was considered a highlight of a safari, and then we had to very carefully inch forward. If you asked me 18 years ago, would I be standing here today watching a leopard cub in a tree that was basically sub-adult on the verge of adulthood, I would have told you you're smoking something. It just, honestly, a magic moment. So definitely a cub. Now, Bob, you've asked me a very good question about, am I not afraid of habituating animals to people on foot would endanger us? You've asked specifically about the leopard, but I'm going to answer you in two things because I think it's important that we understand both. Is it dangerous for the cat? Is it dangerous for us? The answer to that question is yes. You don't want to habituate animals to people, because what happens is they lose their fear of people. When they lose their fear of people, they get too close to people. People's natural fear and the imagination of fear. What's going to happen to my kids if I bring my kid here? What's going to happen to me if I was sitting out having dinner one night? Would this leopard attack me? And that creates this need to get rid of the threat. And humans are very, very, very good at eliminating threats or perceived threats. So yes, there is a danger in habituating animals to people. However, and this is where I'm justifying what we're doing at the moment, is that we're in a conservation area. We're not in a peripheral area. We're in a conservation area. This leopard will most probably never go into a community area where people's pets, their livestock, their children, their people are in danger of losing their lives to an habituated animal like this. And so the only interaction that these animals will have with people is via a professional interface, a field guide, a tracker, through a lodge, which has, a bunch of measures in place to keep people safe and to keep them, aware of their environment. And I think because of these very specific set of circumstances, I think it's wonderful. Don't forget that you watching this particular program, because of what we're doing here today and the pioneering work we're doing in trying to bring you into being part of these animals' lives. And if it wasn't for your support watching this program, we wouldn't be paid money to keep everyone employed and to keep the types of professionals that we do employed, and this whole cycle would stop. So this animal holds massive value for us today in terms of opening people's eyes to where we are in the safari industry, opening up people's eyes to how beautiful these cats are on a day-to-day basis, not as a once-off trophy, not as a old faded photograph lying on somebody's wall. This is real. This is happening right now. You can take a photograph, you can share it. Tomorrow we'd be able to share with this animal again. And the fact that we're doing it without the need of a car, without the need of a road, without the need of all the steel that goes into fabricating cars and fuel and diesel and petrol and all the bad things that we put into the atmosphere. I'm standing here on foot 30 yards away from this animal, and I'm having no impact on the bush around me. I'm having virtually zero impact here. I'm not standing on any branch. I'm not influencing this animal. If it was scared of us or worried about us, the classic pose of leopard would be face on, ears flat, big glary eyes, lots of teeth, their pink tongue making rasping growls, rushing at me through the bush. This leopard's doing none of that. A first for me. And a first enough to give me goosebumps and enough for me to reflect the way I have on the last couple of minutes and just how special this actually is. This isn't a thrill that we're doing to get close to these animals. We don't work with thrills out here. People who work with thrills get killed very quickly or get those animals killed very quickly. This is real. This is something that's taken years, thousands of man hours, and an infinite amount of patience, millions upon millions of dollars of investment, time, and understanding from local communities. The circles are endless. What you're looking at here is just sort of the tip of the iceberg. I feel like I've almost run out of words to talk about, to be honest. I suppose at this point it would be good just to ground myself into where we actually are. So, Jen, while I scan around, let me just put my ears on, while I scan around to look for, where the mom is, where Karula is, and where Hosanna is. Now James has asked me what would be my one-word tweet for this particular sighting. That's a good question, man. So many words come to mind. Thankful, I suppose. Enlightened. Excited. I'm using a bunch of words now. I haven't quite decided which is my single word that I use as a one-word tweet for this particular thing. Humbled would be a word that I'd like to use. I'm not astonished. That was when I left that word for when James had his experience on foot. Amazed was the word I used when Brent had his experience on foot, and now I'm lucky enough to experience something very similar. And I'd like to use words that are conveying to me and I suppose to you how special this is from where we are in this particular world at the moment. Just really phenomenal. Really, really special. Special is probably what I'd like to use. A special moment. Now, why I'm saying ground myself in the present, in that we are in very thick bush. We have been standing here for quite some time staring into the tree, and I have absolutely no idea where the rest of this trio of leopard are. We've got one in the tree, possibly two. I can't see the whole tree from where I'm standing. We've got Karula, who's probably out hunting. She enjoys hunting during the day. I can't see her. She's not a leopard that enjoys lying high up in trees like this. And we've got Hosanna, who is also an inquisitive leopard. And from Brent's feedback, quite enjoys sneaking up on the aerial of the bushwalk pack. So it looks like he's developing a little bit of a character there where he enjoys sneaking up on that. The two cubs from the footage that I've seen like to play often in trees, and quite often you find them wrestling together. This particular lady, I think it's a female, I think it's Shongile, just judging from her facial shape. I haven't seen her close enough I haven't been close enough or seen her from close enough to judge, but Kirsty's telling me that a lot of you also think that it's Shongile. She's got a very feminine arm, I'd like to think there. You can see it's a nicely turned arm. So she looks like and just phenomenal. All right, I think it's come time for me to send you over to one of my colleagues while I just gather my thoughts and gather my breath and put some words back into my head. So I think we're going to send you over to Taylor, and hopefully we'll catch up with you back here again in a few minutes.
I'm so glad, Steph, that you finally had your first encounter with, the little ones of the royal family. That's exciting. Now, something that I have been searching for quite some time now, and I haven't been able to find, is this community spider nest. Have a look. Now, this is my favorite nest, or my favorite community spider nest that I've ever found. But look at it. It's dwindled away completely. Don't you remember the days when this was 3 stories high? It's not anymore. It's sadly just become one very, very small, mesh. Actually, I'm going to just show you how tiny it is. Maybe some of you can pull up some screenshots of what this community spider nest used to look like. And when I say used to, it wasn't even that long ago. Oh no, now I'm stuck in the tree. Look at this. It's still pretty big. I mean, it's almost, not quite, I think if I put both my hands there, it would be the size of both my hands together. But it's tiny and it's tight. The last time it was quite loose. The nest was relatively open. So I don't know what they're hiding away. It hasn't been that cold, so I can't. No, now I'm stuck on the thorns. No, on my pants. This is so terrible. I'm really stuck here. Okay. Oh, nope. Nope. Look. I can't get off. I may have left half my shirt behind under the tree. Oh, it bit my bottom. That was terrible. What have I done today to deserve?
2 shirts red.
I don't know, I'm so sorry, but so I've ripped a shirt today. As you know, I broke Wendy, and I went and I took the vehicle back and I opened up the hood of the vehicle, and as I did that, a bolt was sticking out and it caught my shirt and then ripped from the bottom of my shirt right up to the top. So I had this gaping hole running around trying to cover myself up because it was, well, very indecent. But let's get back to my favorite community nest, spider nest. But we'll actually try and come past here a little bit later to see if it gets active. Typically these spiders are really only active at night. Hopefully they're going to come out. There's a lot of web around there though, so it's possible that they're still there. There's lots of debris in the form of exoskeletons of beetles and all sorts of other little goodies, so maybe they're around, but for now they are resting. And the reason why I'm slightly confused by the structure of their nest is the way that it's become so sort of tight. They've brought in a lot of leaves. Normally they do that in the colder months, so in coming into winter maybe they've started preparing early, I'm not sure, but it doesn't look like there's anybody home at the moment. I don't know where all those other spiders have gone, and the rest of their nests have completely deteriorated. How sad. Okay, well, we'll come back here this evening and then we'll have another look to see if the community nest spiders, well, are alive and well. We're just going to pop down a little bit further. We're searching for buffalo that are perhaps wallowing in the pans today. So with it being so hot, I thought we might as well check the pans. That was a very scared crested francolin. What is it? I don't know what it's scared. Let me go and have a look. Could have been, but it came racing out of the bushes. Just check here that there's maybe not something lurking about here. Still shouting. Nope, can't see anything moving around. Not a snake, not a bird of prey, not a caracal, not a serval, nothing along those lines. Over here it's actually very quiet. It's a bit spooky. The only thing that's making a noise is that crested francolin. Well, I think then it might have been us that gave it a little bit of a fright. Perhaps it was having a siesta and didn't quite realize that we were coming around the corner. But let's check these pans. Right, we're almost here. Are we almost? Are we almost here? We are at the pans, hey? Yes, let's have a very quick look at these pans. Maybe we get a warthog or something. I know you've already seen wallowing warthogs with Jamie, but I don't think you'd mind to have another look at them. Here they are around this corner, I'm almost certain. And it's sad that all the puddles have dried up the road now, because that means no more fighting bullfrogs. Come on, puddles. What are you going to show for us? Is there going to be anything exciting? Why does it feel like we're so... No, we're not. We're at the tree. We're here. We're almost here. It's just behind all of these bushes. Everything has become so dense. Okay. This is where we started having... Hang on. Oh, tadpoles. Struggling tadpoles. Let me have a look here. Oh no. Brian, I'm going to go back a bit more. Wow, these are big tadpoles actually. I'm just going to maneuver it so Brian can see nicely. Look at this. Now, this was one of the puddles where we'd actually seen the bullfrogs fighting in, so I'm 100% certain that all that splashing about is from the tadpoles of the bullfrogs, and they're massive. They're really, really big. Should we see if we can... I'm going to get a little stick. I want to just see if we can get a better view of them. Because the tadpoles we also have been seeing, I showed you some the other day, they were very small, and they didn't have as robust of a tail. Just check for buffalo, as these ones do. You can see them all moving around here. Look here, look how big they are. Come on, tadpoles. No. There. Actually, there's one. I'm not going to touch it. Can you see it there, Brian? Look how big it is. Oh, it's swimming away. But massive. Almost the size of my index finger. Very, very, very long. But they are unfortunately struggling. But they've grown really quickly. Much quicker than the others that we've seen. So maybe they might make it if they can come across here. This looks like it's actually, wow, that's very deep, this little second puddle here to the left. And there don't seem to be many this side. So all they need to do is make the journey across this little bridge and get in over there. And they'll have a better chance of surviving. So I hope that they figure out that that's the way that they need to go. Hey, tadpoles. Let me get plugged in and let's just check the actual pans very quickly. Whee. Right, let me just very quickly check here. Everything gets so hidden away. So these pans that we're seeing at the moment, these are all little natural pans. And Logan, you're actually... Oh, warthogs! In just a moment. Little piggies. Sorry everybody, a little bit of a break up there. Apologies for that. Wendy's been giving us a little bit of trouble, but we're still with the little warthogs. I suspected that we were going to see warthogs in these wallows. It would be silly not to see any animals here. And look at this tiny bunch. How many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, only 5. Brian, do you think it could possibly be that family that we regularly see? It's a bit of a coinky-dink that all 5, it's the same amount of piglets, and very relaxed as well. Look, they're not running away from us. It could be. Mom ran away, and the little ones didn't. They just sort of turned around, panicked slightly, and then went, oh, okay, we'll just carry on eating, which is actually a bit of a concern. Oh, there's Mom. Mom's coming back again. Because if they were to do something like that and there was a predator that burst out of the bushes, this would be a big problem. They need to follow Mom, because as soon as one gets separated, it becomes very, very easy for a predator to chase after a piglet that can't run at nearly the speed as an adult can race at. But they're looking lovely, nice and fat. Hey, little pigs. I think it is, because there's another adult coming off to the left, and that's it. We used to see 2 adult females, one with particularly large tusks like the one that we can see in the distance, and then there were 5 little pigs. See, there's another adult coming out. Remember, we thought, no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 pigs. I think it's the same family that we see at Impala Plains. No, there's 6. Maybe not. It's amazing. So now I'm thinking maybe it's not the same family, because we've only ever seen the 5 piglets with the 2 females. But that's all right. At least we know there are lots of them around. And another group that is fairly relaxed with the vehicles. We have stopped quite a distance away, though. We must be about 60 yards, sorry. Relatively far away. And this seems to be a space that they're quite relaxed with us. Oh, they're just munching away on the grass. Now, these pigs can be exceptionally devastating to farmers. And I wish we could actually see the damage here. Because if you saw what they do in the Eastern Cape, and particularly big open grasslands, it is actually scary. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer, because they've just disappeared behind the bushes. But when they feed the grass, when they've completely pulled up all the grass and feasted upon the over the place. Right. So we're just going to sneak up to these little piggies. You should get a view of them now. Hey guys, it's okay. There's one that's popped out. Perfect. Hopefully the piglets will follow in this adult's footsteps. Now, Jamie, you've asked what is the success rate of a piglet. Sadly, it's very, very low. I think out of all the piglets, I would put it at maybe 30% survival rate, somewhere around there. I reckon out of this group of little piglets that we've got here, maybe 2 or 3 of them, if even that, will survive, make it to adulthood. It's a very tough life for a warthog piglet, and it's the same thing goes with impala lambs, is that they're so much easier to catch than the adults, and there's lots of things that are feasting on them. A warthog is so small a big eagle could catch it. So even at this side, a martial eagle could come through and swoop up a warthog piglet. You've got big pythons, big snakes that live out here. They feed on sometimes adult impala. So you can imagine a warthog is really just a little snack. Hyenas, lions, leopards, particularly Shongile and Hosana, would love to catch a little warthog piglet. So it's a tough life for these guys. But luckily at the moment they have got an upper hand. You just see them moving around in that very, very long grass. In winter, on the other hand, they are completely vulnerable. As this grass disappears, there's almost nothing around here, not even really many shrubs for them to sit under. And they're gone. But I have one more thing to show you. One more, and it's a bird. Let's see if the hornbill is going to stay. Do you know who I'm missing at the moment? Is Henry the hippopotamus. I haven't seen Henry in a very long time. I don't know where he's gone. But there's a yellow-billed hornbill. Here we go. Hello, yellow-billed hornbill. And it's off. And it's very... Oh, the pigs are back there. Oh, look at that. That's perfect. They're just following us around at the moment. So, Logan, earlier you were asking about what is the difference between pans, lakes, and dams. So let's have a chat about pans, I think. So pans, are these natural ones that we've just seen where the warthogs were all started off as mud wallows. So an elephant or a buffalo or a rhinoceros or a group of animals would have come walking through this very, very muddy section where there's quite a bit of black cotton soil. And they leave big footprints. They fill up with water. These tiny little piglets come around and they think, oh, this is great, and wallow away in it and splash the water out, eventually making that hole get bigger and bigger. And soon, from warthogs wallowing in it, you'll have buffalo coming through, wallowing in that and making it larger and larger. And then as we get the rains, they fill up these pans. So pans are generally seasonal. The dams can be seasonal too. It sort of just depends as well. And a dam is much larger. I'm actually just trying to remember my good old geography days now. I have to dig back to high school now. What is the difference between a dam and a lake? But, Brian, do you know? Should we throw it forward to Jamie? I've completely forgotten, but there is big differences. I think it's got to do with the source of water, where the main source of water is coming from. But now I've gone blank. It's too hot.
I can't say.
Yes, so I've been waiting to say this all drive. I don't know and I can't say. Yeah, so... One of the main things, it has got something to do with water source as well. I don't know if lakes also natural springs, but lakes generally are natural. Dams can, and most of them are man-made. Like look at all the dams that we have. Chitwa Dam, we've got Vuyatela Dam, that small one that we've dug out, and Buffelshoek Dam, which we've widened. But a lot of the time, they're just natural catchment areas as well. So we've created them, and there's some small panel dams that we pump water into, but not all of them. We're not pumping water into all of them. And the others, like Buffelshoek Dam, for example, that just catches water, and when it dries up, and that's the end of it. But pans make me sad, and they make me a little bit depressed as we drive past them all the time with all the dying tadpoles. But it just shows you, I suppose we couldn't have all the tadpoles make it to adulthood, though, because we'd have an infestation of bullfrogs. I wouldn't mind so much, but I don't think it would be too good for the environment if you had too many bullfrogs. See, that warthog has actually just heard another vehicle that's coming down the road. See, it's listening? So not bothered by us, but turned its attention to the other noise. It knows we're here, we're talking loudly, we haven't moved. This other vehicle is now making its approach, and this warthog's decided it's not too sure about two cars. Off she goes. Bye-bye. There's that little tail sticking up, and you can't even see that in the long grass. Oh, my goodness. I'm distraught from the thorns. I feel like I need to pull them out of my... Brian and I, and the thumb, the caterpillar, some are going to keep searching for hopefully an elephant or a buffalo, lucky somewhere along this line. Steph is still with the leopards. Let's go take a closer look on foot.
We definitely are still with these leopards, or this one leopard. Looks like the young female. We think it's maybe the young male. I'm not too sure. So difficult to see. Every now and then this leopard lifts its head up and stares at us with a very droopy, almost drugged look. And it's because it spent most of the day lying in probably this perfect tree. This is the most perfect leopard tree. That horizontal branch, which is wide enough not to cause any pressure points on that particular leopard, a Y shape to accommodate the cat's rolled up body, is just made for a perfect perch for this cat, and giving us the quintessential sort of leopard pose there, as you will, inside the tree. And while that's not too uncommon an occurrence out here, and we've seen it many times before, what we haven't, and this is purely for those viewers who are just joining us right now, is the fact that we are standing on foot watching this particular animal. We are not in a car. We have found this leopard through a variety of means. We walked into the area where they were last seen this morning, followed their tracks in here, heard a squirrel calling, and found this leopard lying in the tree. And what is so special about what we're doing now is we've been here for about half an hour, 45 minutes already, and this particular animal has not even blinked an eye in our direction. Completely unfazed that a couple of humans are standing literally 30, 40 yards away from where it is now. And one of the defining moments in my career as a field guide is to have enjoyed this sighting with you and that animal in a tree at this distance for the time period that we have. An absolute first for me, something that's never happened before. And like I was saying a little bit earlier, if you had asked me when I started guiding, what are the chances of us being able to view leopard on foot, relaxed, acting as if we weren't even there, which is the aim of a field guide, is to observe without changing the environment, without changing the behavior of the animal. I would have told you that you're smoking something very strong and probably prescribed, but proof is in the pudding. Just have a look over there. 18 years later, and we've got a 13-month-old leopard. 13 months is, in terms of leopard, sub-adult, verging on adult, independence. This is an animal that isn't stuck up in the tree or, basically, with no option. This is an animal that is fully capable of looking after itself out here to some degree, to a large degree. Not completely independent of mom just yet, but to a large degree independent and not caring that we're here. Very, very, very cool. And we are going to stay here for as long as we can. It is getting a bit dark now, so we've probably got another sort of 15 or 20 minutes maximum with this particular cat in this particular area before we need to start making our way out. But while we're here, we're going to stay here, of course, wait for you to come back. You're off to Jamie to go and have a look at some more things with her.
It sounds as though Steph is having the most amazing time on foot with gorgeous Shongile. I'm glad that he's finally had the opportunity to really get to spend some time with her, and on foot, nevertheless. I'm very excited for him. In the meantime, I've been thinking big, dark, grey thoughts in the hope that it perhaps might bring some elephants to drink at Chitwa Dam. But very sadly, no sign. However, we do have a very large animal in the form of a pod of hippopotamus at Chitwa Dam. So the Chitwa pod, all gathered together, as they always are, in one of three favourite spots in this particular waterhole. And just by the way, I don't know if we ever fully clarified, as far as I know, a dam is man-made and a lake is not. Just in answer to Taylor's question. That's always been my assumption. So all of the water holes around here are man-made. Unless you see basically a puddle, all of the sort of the Buffelshoek Dam, Chitwa Dam, they've all been constructed by people. something that was discussed at length during our drought, the fact that having so many artificial waterholes does bring in other species that might not otherwise have been here, in particular the hippopotamus. So in the duration of the drought, we actually, well, not we personally, the Sabi Sands actually ultimately had to remove as many hippos as they possibly could. And I think they ended up taking about 100 out of this area in order to make sure that there was enough space and enough water for the remaining ones. And it obviously worked, because just a few weeks ago we saw the birth of a brand new baby. So the population is still healthy. I don't know where the little one is. Probably still sequestered away at the opposite end of the dam. I've never actually done a head count of hippo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 in this group here. Possibly 9. I don't think I counted that little head at the back. And then there's another group just behind them in the next sort of inlet. And then I suspect that the baby is all the way at the back on the right. Right across there, Dave. There we go, in that back corner. That's the one. But to the left, somewhere around there, I think the baby hippo is. That's where Mum's been keeping it. Let's stop for a moment and let's just see whether or not there's any sign of it popping its head up. Don't forget to send through your questions on hashtag safariLIVE on Twitter. Is that the baby? That's the baby, look! Oh, hello, little baby. There we are, popping out above the surface of the water, resting its head on Mum, because of course it cannot swim, so it's resting across her back. Big yawn. Dominique, you want to know if hippos have good eyesight? No, not really. Their eyesight is not fantastic. It's probably on par with that of something like an elephant, I suppose. Look at it. It's definitely not one of their primary senses. Their ears and their sense of smell are the ones that they rely upon the most. They can see, but they can sort of see blearily, which is why one of the other reasons why it's quite dangerous to find a hippopotamus on foot. They don't see you coming, they can't quite make out what you are, and a hippo's default response is, let me charge you. So no human being really wants to get caught on foot with a hippopotamus, especially not a protective cow with a calf. You can just see it bobbing about there with Mum. Gosh, it's grown. All right, we're going to enjoy our peaceful moments at Chitwa Dam and then start making our way back towards the line. In the meantime, we've been a bit spoilt this afternoon. Let's go and see what kind of spotted surprise Taylor has.
We're looking at this funny looking creature. It's very small. I'm not going to go out and show you how tiny it is because I'm going to scare it away. But it looks like maybe one of the plated lizards, perhaps, but it is, like I said, it's tiny and it is struggling to get up this heap of sand. Now, the grader has been through on one of the main roads on Gowrie Main just to neaten them up after all the rain we've had, and it's caused quite a bit of damage to the roads. And now it has created this big heap of sand on either side of the road. And this tiny little lizard is struggling to climb up. But it's just sat there very, very, very still at the moment. And I think this is the tiniest one I've ever seen. It's much smaller than my hand. Like I said, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to just scare it. And I think it's traumatized. As you can see, it's breathing pretty heavily. And I think that's because... Oh, my goodness. We're going to go across to Steph.
So, this looks like it's Shongile. It's now turned up, basically stood up and turned around, had a bit of a stretch, and this young leopard is now staring at a tree squirrel that is on the right-hand side of it. We really can't move from where we are. We've literally got a 10 centimeter gap where we've got some signal, and we just happened to walk into it when we walked in. It was just luck, as luck would have it. And this is the time of day where leopard get a little bit more active. They're on, well, actually leopard are active all the time, but they are primarily nocturnal. This particular cat would be waiting here for Mom, Karula, a female leopard, to come back and fetch it, probably, hopefully, with some food. And while this animal will be able to augment her diet with lizards and birds and eggs and rabbits and squirrels and monkeys and anything that she can catch, she definitely is still reliant on Mom for those boosts in energy that come from a good hearty meal that takes a couple of days to finish without them having to walk the distances that they do. They're not covering that far on a daily basis. I think Karula is keeping these two youngsters of hers in the core of her territory, which is Djuma, thankfully, and a little bit of a property just to the south of us called Hoffman's. But definitely one of the most unreal afternoons I've ever had in my guiding career. I keep on wanting to go into a discussion of where this might lead, because I think it's a very, very good question as to where does this go? What can we hope to expect in the next 40 years of the, safari industry working in an environment in close confines with this animal? And I'm led to two conclusions here. I would really like to see the amount of roads in the Sabi Sands cut down to a minimum. I would really like to see tracking as a skill be brought even more into how field guides interpret the bush around them. And I would love to see in the next 20 years where a ranger and a tracker have to get out and track animals on foot with their guests and share what we are sharing with you. Obviously, we're a very small crew here. You number a large amount of people on the other side of the screen that are enjoying this with me, but we're a very, very small group. I can't imagine that this animal would be as relaxed with 8 or 10 people as it is with, a trained field guide and a cameraman who acts as an antennae support most of the time. But I would love to see fewer roads, larger blocks of land where these animals can live freely in, and for people to parachute in with a small amount of guests and not within touching distance. I think that we need to draw a line in the sand here as to how we go forward from where we are now. And I think that interaction should be avoided at all costs. And I'm thinking and basing that on how people interact with sharks and how people interact with gorillas. I think there needs to be a hands-off policy. I think holding leopard and holding their tails and walking with them as they hunt or being around them as they make a kill is too intrusive. But to share at a respectful distance a sighting like we're doing now, 30, 40, 50 yards, where even with a naked eye I can make out details with binoculars, this animal is right next to me. I think that is where I'd love to see the safari industry go, where we forego the use of cars and experience interactions between man and beast at a distance that is well within both of our comfort zones, and where we can share and learn from one another without having an impact on how we behave or on how that animal behaves with its life in a natural environment, in the wilderness like we are at the moment. Touch and feel, get pricked by the thorn and smell the grass, taste the seed, feel the roughness of the bark, feel the heat on my skin, but at the same time have that in the distance, or be able to. I'd love to share that with many, many people from around the world, not just through a screen like we're doing now. Kirsty just says that there's a lot of you that are agreeing with me on that. Now, since we have gotten over me gushing about all this particular sighting, and I'm not usually one to gush, to be honest, I will invite you to ask me a few questions about this particular sighting on foot. I know we spend a massive amount of time with both Shongile, Hosana and Karula, and I can imagine that every question that you've possibly wanted to ask Brent, Jamie and Taylor and Tristan, you've already asked. But feel free to, enter into a discussion or ask me a question about, the safari industry, large dangerous animals on foot, lines drawn in the sand. I'm quite open to discussing topics about this at the moment. Obviously, how close is too close is a question that I need to delve deeper into. Like, where do we draw the line? What's going to happen when one day that line gets crossed and someone gets hurt? It's going to happen. Or that line gets crossed and an animal gets hurt. Just as bad. Should we even be going down this particular pathway? Should we even want to do this with tourists on foot that come to South Africa or come and share these animals' wild places? Or should we leave it to the realms of a very tiny, provisioned, much skilled group of people? Crystal, I'm going to try and get your question right on the first go. I am almost fortunate to have memory bigger than what our signal gaps on Wendy have been lately. But you've asked, why do we influence certain things, for instance, the hippo and during the drought, but we won't influence other animals? Basically, the answer to your question lies in an anthropomorphic or a man-made cause to a problem. The mandate of the Sabi Sands, which is the reserve that we're operating inside, is that unless it was a man-made or a problem created by the direct influence of man, that they've got a hands-off policy. And Wild Earth as a company has taken the stand that we will follow this particular mandate to the letter, and we support the Sabi Sands in this. They are backed by many scientific brains. They're very active in the scientific community. They're supported. They play a role in the scientific community. We are not a scientific service, and so really cannot even really offer comment on this particular mandate, other than to support it. But basically, anything that is as a direct result of a human act or intervention, we will help, and we will try and take back to normal as quickly as we can. What we won't do, though, is as much as what we can possibly help it, and there are grey areas here which I'll go into now. We won't have an impact on an animal. For instance, if Shongile here fell out of the tree and broke her leg, and we weren't here, in other words, I wasn't standing here, and we came across her tomorrow morning with a broken leg, there's very small chance of us fixing her leg to get over it herself. Whereas if I ran up to this tree now and she jumped out of the tree right from the top and landed on the floor and broke her leg, we'd do everything in our power to isolate the injury. We'd get vets in here. We'd really try and help her as much as what is humanly possible. To give you two examples of the difference between when we act and when we don't act, and under what conditions would we act. Further, and this is one of the grey areas that I'd like to discuss right now, is even if it's caused naturally amongst critically endangered species of animals, we will intervene, and that's only because the numbers of these particular animals left on the planet are at such a low number that to lose one when we could have intervened would be too much of a loss to the species as general. So things like black rhino and white rhino and wild dog and cheetah, even though we've got even though we might have no direct influence on what causes that animal distress, sickness or illness or injury or whatever the case may be, we do as much as what we can to try and help that animal. That is, the Kruger National Park and the greater conservation sort of mandate here. But as a general rule of thumb, Amy, and just to, I suppose, make my conclusion in this particular case, it's unless it was caused directly by human intervention, the Sabi Sands' mandate is we don't help those animals. We let nature take its course. And the reason for that is, as far as I can understand, in that these animals are successful only because of one reason, and that reason is a pure reason, it's a raw reason. It's the survival of the fittest. If we were to go and save every single cub or every single that made a mistake, the fittest of that particular breed, its genes wouldn't go through to the next round, so to say, and we'd actually be doing the species as a whole a disservice. And I, for one, believe that as we go into the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years of conservation in this country and across Africa and across the world for that matter, indigenous areas are going to shrink to a point where only the toughest of the tough are going to be able to survive in harmony with one another. The fact that this leopard is allowing us to view it is, to me, an evolutionary jump forward and a survival strategy that's absolutely necessary in our fight for conservation and to keep these wilderness areas intact and productive and lucrative, I suppose. We can't speak about conservation without the white elephant in the room being money. These places survive because people they want to invest in the value that is what we're doing right now. And just to come back to my point on survival of the fittest and being able to overcome in the next couple of years, in the next couple of decades, in the next century of conservation on this planet, the animals that are able to live in harmony with mankind are going to be the ones that eventually are the reason and the cause to want to live in an area. Because you want to save the area that this particular animal is living in, you save the tree that she's lying in, you save the termite mound that the tree's growing on, you save all the bushes that we are standing amongst, all the insects, all the birds, all the animals that live on these bushes. So by default, they all get saved because we want to save just one species of animal. And that is pretty much my conservation ethos in a nutshell over there. I just think it's wonderful. Right, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to leave this animal now. The sun is setting, we've got another 10 minutes or so of light left, and we are probably 1.5 miles or 2 miles away from home, so it's a bit of a march, definitely longer than 10 minutes. So we're going to say goodbye on, for me, one of the best sightings I've ever had on foot in my life. So for this particular sighting, we'll probably be able to do another segment or two before we say goodnight, but from this particular sighting, we're going to leave, and we're going to, what a wonderful experience, I just want to say there. Anyway, we're going to send you over to Taylor, who's watching the sunset as we speak, and apparently it's fantastic.
We are about to see the last bit of the sun go as it disappears behind the horizon. But doesn't that look like you're on another planet? That is so beautiful. It is so orange this evening, but it's disappearing sadly behind a cloud. Ah, and this is one of my favorite. Right, sorry about that, everybody, but you can see that the sun has indeed, it's almost setting, but we'll get another view of it. We might try and head to a higher point, look at it, and I think this is only going to get better from here. Just starting to turn a bit pink now, and I think it's actually going to be a magnificent sunset this evening. There's a lot of cirrus clouds up high in the sky, but hey, turn into. Isn't that unbelievable? Oh, wow. Yeah. 17. I was hoping to find elephants, but it looks as though like a big herd of elephants has actually moved and crossed, going north towards the Manuleti, so I think we might have just missed them. Oh, let's carry on. Let's make our way towards Quarantine. I think we must get another view of that sunset. Maybe tonight we'll get silhouette.
Sorry about that, everybody. Taylor disappeared off screen. Apparently she was showing you a beautiful picture of the sunlight. How's your apple there, Dave? This is so good. It's town trip day today, or food order day today, so we get all of the fresh fruit. It's such a nice treat. Wednesdays, the best day. I'm just trying to drive quite slowly. I was hoping that this dust would dissipate. I think I'm going to take us off this road. It's the quickest way back to the Lions, but it really is horrible. Let's get off here. Let's go to Twin Dams instead. Whoa. Blinking against the dust. Let's see what's happening at Twin Dams, because so far my search for elephants at all the waterholes has not proved successful. It's quite sad, really. I was really hoping to see elephants this afternoon. That's okay, we're going to start racing back towards the Lions. Might even bump into Steph on our way home. I actually don't know where those leopards were. Somewhere around just a little bit to the north of where we are now. I'm not going to linger for too long unless we see something spectacular, just because I want to get back to those lions. I hope they won't get up and move, I don't think. But I'll be very, very disappointed if they have and they pull the vanishing act. But if they could get up and move out of the Tambuti thicket now, that would be a treat. Oh! What are you racing from? You're causing chaos, mister. He's chasing Impala. Oh, there's something here. What is going on? What on earth was that about? Why did he come running through here? They're alarm calling now. Is the leopard somewhere here? Why would a waterbuck bull run from a leopard like that? Was he just taking out his bad mood on the impala? That was most peculiar. And then there were alarm calls, and now we're all calm again. I think they were alarm calling at the fact that the other impala were panicked. They got panicked as well. I think that waterbuck bull was just in a really grouchy mood. As to why he had to take it out on the impala, I have absolutely no idea. That's one of the weirdest things I have ever seen a waterbuck do. Shame, impala. If it's not bad enough that you're on everybody's menu and now the waterbuck are chasing you around as well. That was weird. Dave? What a grouch. What an absolute grouch. Where's he gone now? Let me just go see where he went. Ooh. And he's left his scent in the air. Now that's something, if I'm right about that, and the fact that he changed direction immediately tells me that, in fact, when I think about it, here he is. Hey, Grumpy, what's your problem? Don't you come for me now. I won't know what to do. And now? He's panting heavily. Not surprised. He just came dashing out of nowhere. Huh. Weird behavior. Maybe something startled him and then, I don't know. There's nothing in this where he came from because that's where all of the impala were. Fly bothering his eyes? He got an injury somewhere. No, it looks fine. I think a bull just throwing his weight around. It was most peculiar. A waterbuck herding impala, everybody. That's a new one. Maybe he just always wanted to be a sheepdog. He's blinking his one eye very rapidly. I wonder if he doesn't have a botfly problem. I think he is. This is the oddest waterbuck sighting I've ever had. Okay. Stop and relieve yourself. I imagine a jog like that certainly got everything going again. He just was really constipated and it was making him very unhappy. Right. That was really odd. That was really very odd. And he's going straight back where he came from, so obviously there wasn't a threat there. Okay. Now, Debbie in Vancouver, you want to know if waterbuck have a breeding season? Yes, they do, Debbie. At least a peak breeding season. And is it now? Let me just think about this for a second. Maybe that would explain some heightened levels of testosterone. It's a little bit early, I would have thought. And generally, we see our waterbuck calves born around about this time of year, and their gestation period isn't a year long. So look, it might be like what happens with the impala, where their testosterone levels go up, or even actually with... I'm sorry. I just need to check what they're doing. They're all alarm calling now. Okay, let's just go back here. Maybe it's Karula. Which leopard did Taylor have? I was on the other radio channel, so I don't know. Oh, did I imagine that Taylor had a leopard? I must have imagined it. They're all going off now. But they're all looking in different directions. What are you seeing? You're all looking in different directions. That doesn't help me. Mario, yes, you do get interbreeding between different antelope species. It'll be ones that are in the same sort of tribe or family group. So, for example, you get Blesbok and Bontebok interbreeding, Hartebeest and Sesame, waterbuck and Lechwe, although that doesn't happen here, but that was recorded relatively recently, a waterbuck breeding with a Lechwe. Gosh, now I'm really torn. It's starting to get a bit late. I need to go find these lions, but I want to see what's wrong with these impala. There is another waterbuck standing. There's a whole herd of waterbuck standing over there behind me. I'll have to turn around to show you. Dave won't be able to get the camera there. So they seem quite okay. They're staring at the impala that are staring at the water. I think the impala are alarm calling at the waterbuck. And for jolly good reason. Having just seen that sighting, I wouldn't have said so before, but doesn't strike me as a leopard alarm call. They're not all running towards it as they do when a leopard passes through. So I don't know what on earth is going on here, Perhaps hormones just got the better of that waterbug bull. As to why he went for the impala, I guess it's like when elephants chase things. They can. I think they're looking at the waterbuck. The waterbuck is... Can you see it there, Dave? Go a bit dry. There we go. I think they're alarm calling at the waterbuck. Because the waterbuck are looking back at the impala with very confused expressions on their faces. That's a female, so she's definitely not going to come chasing them. So what we definitely wouldn't have would be waterbuck breeding with impala. I think it's safe to say that these impala have just been worked up into a state by the waterbuck exploding out of nowhere and chasing them for no apparent reason. Maybe he just really wanted to impress his ladies. Hey girls, hold my beer, watch this. That kind of a deal. I don't know. He's a mystery. Oh, I'm sorry, Winter Prism. I was thinking aloud, actually. I was kind of... Oh, we're going to go through this dip now. Winter Prism. So essentially what sometimes happens, and it happened with Brent, I'm going to stop here because I don't think we're going to go through here intact. So I'll answer your question first. Intact, is by that I mean our signal might disappear. Winter Prism. So what I mean is what happens is the botfly larvae invade the nasal passages and they actually make it all the way up to the retinas of the animals, and the animals go blind. And when that happens, they behave in very odd ways. So we had a female buffalo that was charging other buffalo and other vehicles in the area not so long ago. Apparently it's quite a big problem to the south. And I know it happened with Brent and a waterbuck when he went home to where his parents live. And he woke up to find a waterbuck pressing against the glass window of his door and trying to get in and headbutting it. And obviously the first thing you think when you've got a waterbuck attacking your glass door is that it's got rabies, but it turned out to be a botfly problem as well. So that could account for aggression like that, but to have come all the way out from where he was with the females and go all the way after the impala is really peculiar. I don't know. Very peculiar. I'm going to start racing towards those lines because it is getting dark. Let's find out what Taylor's plans are for the rest of her evening.
Jamie, we've been very, very busy out here catching insects in our eyes, both Brian and I. It's a tough day's job today. And the worst thing is I think Brian and I, we've each got one eye that the insects are preferring this afternoon. Mine is my left eye. So if it is very red, it's yes because I have been rubbing it. And it's very itchy now, but we'll keep going. I thought what we'd very quickly do is we did come to quarantine, and unfortunately the sun was just too quick this afternoon with all of the cloud cover and that haze. We didn't get to catch the last of the sunset, but what we are going to do is we're going to race to the hyena den and just quickly poke our noses in, even if it's just for 2 or 3 minutes, just to see if there's anything happening there this afternoon. I think it's nice that we just go and visit those little cubs. It doesn't necessarily have to be for a long time, and we were able to go there for a long time either because of the fact it's a race against the clock with the light. But it's just important for these little ones to keep showing them vehicles, letting them get used to the different noises that are made by us as humans, because that way they'll habituate a lot quicker. Though it'll be nice to see if there's an improvement. Maybe we'll come past in the morning as well. I'd like to see sort of how curious they are getting from after our last sighting with them, which was quite wonderful. Oh my goodness, now we've got to go over the biggest bumps ever. Watch you don't bump your teeth out there, Brian. Are you trying to get an insect out of your eye? You've caught another one? Are you up now? Is it 4-3? We've turned it into a competition now of who can catch the most insects in their eye. We've decided. And Brian is winning. Yes. I'm glad Brian is winning. Yes, it's a fun game. And that's something, if you ever do come out on safari, a good tip is something that people don't often mention is get a pair of Perspex well, clear glasses and bring them with, because I can't tell you at night, especially if you come in summer, even in winter though, it's not too freezing out, so you can get a couple of bugs, but summer is particularly bad. The midges, the alates, the biting flies, and the beetles and everything else that wants to crawl into your eye. It'll help you quite a bit. And just as you are driving along, to put them on at night. Obviously sunglasses would work well too, except you won't be able to see anything because it would be exceptionally dark. So a pair of clear glasses is definitely a safari tip. Bring a pair of those along with you, and then if you don't want them anymore, make sure that they're a cheap pair or something. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, no one will see them anyway. But we're almost here at our hyena den. Okay, I hope little Ribbon is going to be there. Brian and I have been singing the whole day, the entire drive. It's been wonderful. Horrible. We've actually been singing horrible songs about Wendy, about how nasty she's been to all of us over the last few days. We were teasing her. But other than that, I don't really know what else we've been singing about. No summer hits this time round. We'll have to wait till tomorrow. Okay, we're almost here. We're on the little track. Let's go around this bush. Oh, not that far. Got lured off by a log. Okay. Watch the branches. Luckily these ones have got no thorns on. My goodness, that little knob thorn that got me earlier. Phew-wee. Not having any luck with the thorns today. Okay, now we gotta go slowly. And we'll see if we can see anybody. Right. Can't see anything just yet. I'm going to sneak around the side because there is actually a nice little gap through the leaves of this tree. Under we go. Trying to be as quiet and as cautious as we can. I don't want to go in guns blazing. Yeah. Okay. Doesn't look like anybody's home. We'll just stop over here and we'll sit for a couple of minutes. Pull off a little bit further. No. Madam Ribbon has obviously gone out on a bumble, or perhaps she's sleeping right inside the den. But no little cubs to be seen. But this is also about the time that Ribbon would have woken up from her slumber during the day. And she would have gone out on a little walkabout looking for things to feed on, especially that she's got 2 cubs. She needs to eat as much as she can so that she can produce enough milk for those little cubs. And I wonder if she's going to come past and visit camp tonight. Who knows? It'll be exciting if she does. I hope she doesn't. She's naughty coming into camp like that. At least she doesn't steal our shoes, which is good. I always wonder, because I often leave a pair of shoes outside my door, and that's the first thing that I thought. My dad's had many pairs of shoes stolen on within our safari holidays by leaving them outside, either by hyenas or water monitors. They always seemed to like my dad's shoes. I thought I could hear something. I thought it was Kirst trying to talk to me, but it isn't. There's another vehicle driving in the distance. And like I said, I'm surprised that hyenas don't come through and pick up the things that we leave outside our rooms. But nothing here. Okay, well, let's move on then. Bye-bye, hyenas. We'll try again in the morning. At least we popped our heads around to have a little look. No luck. That's all right. You can't win all the time. Wait, back we go. Make sure we don't bump into any more trees. But we're going to keep on going. I think we might actually go around to where Steph had left Shongile and go and see what she is up to. But, well, speaking of Steph, it's getting dark. Let's go say another hello to him before he has to go home.
Thank you very, very much, Taylor, for that, for those notes of goodwill. We are almost on our way home. We have left Shongile in the tree, and as we were leaving, we heard Karula call from the drainage line further down, probably about 100 meters or so, 100 yards or so from where we were standing. Shungile got down the tree, watched her for a bit and disappeared into the thicket. And so it's going to be quite interesting to see if Taylor does manage to find Karula and Shungile now, or we have to go back into that area tomorrow morning and go and have a look. Hold thumbs that she's managed to make a kill, and that we can share that kill with her and her cubs either tonight or tomorrow, or both, preferably. Hey. Now I've picked myself an osimum. This is the wild basil. I don't know why they call it wild, since this is where it's supposed to be. It's not wild at all. And they make for very handy fly swatters. They have an oil inside of them that is repellent to flies and ticks and other insects, and I have been plagued by flies on the way home today. I don't know what it is, but yeah, and they make for fantastic fly swatters, as well as being able to brush ticks off of your shorts and sort of get them to let you go. Now, Giorgio, who's a new viewer, I just want to say welcome to the safariLIVE family, Giorgio, and I hope that you spend a long time with us every single day. And you know, I'm sure that on behalf of the community and us, we're gonna, you know, we welcome you, put it plainly. You've asked how many plants here have a medicinal use, or how many plants with medicinal uses are there here. Georgia, I'd like to say that probably every bush that you're looking at over here has a medicinal use of some sort or another, to be quite honest with you. The fact that they're not all documented is simply just because we haven't gotten there yet and we haven't been able to describe all of the medicinal uses. But every single plant that you look at over here will have a use of some sort. And while it may not be medicinal, it may be a tribal use, used for building material or for rope making, or for an implement handle to make a spoon or a bowl. It could be something like this, which keeps corpses fresh, keeps flies at bay, and acts as a very, very good insect repellent. It could be a plant like this senna over here, which acts as quite a powerful laxative, which you can use as you know, as a purgative to keep yourself feeling nice and fresh and regular, I suppose. And then we've got this Waltheria, the roots of which, if you chop the roots up and you boil them in some water, make for an antibacterial, antimicrobial, very good health tonic. Wow, what else have we got over here that is of significant medicinal use? We've got the spike thorn, the gymnosporia here, which acts to stop diarrhea. So Didi, you just asked me a question, but because I was talking, I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you there. Kirsty, please repeat the question that Didi sent through. So Didi, you've asked me if there's any plants that help with cancer. Yes, to put it quite frankly, there are lots of plants over here that have anti-cancer, I don't know if there's a word for that, but anti-cancer properties. Not all of them have been tested, Didi. I was lucky enough to be part of a ethnobotanical study of plants in this area that lasted for 3 years, and was even in 3 years we barely scratched the surface. We only managed to do 400 plants in 3 years, but it cost a massive amount of money to test those plants. And one of the tests that we did, we had 4 tests over the 3 years that we did on the 480 plants. One was HIV/AIDS, one was cancer of a particular kind. I think it was breast cancer, but I might be mistaken. It's hazy now at the moment. Another one was acne, and the bacteria that cause acne in the skin. And the other one was hyperpigmentation. It was, you know, most ladies will understand what hyperpigmentation is, which is when you get those brown spots on your skin for whatever reason. But the cancer properties were amazing, in that of the 480 plants that we studied, about 20 of them did show some reaction to the cancer cells. And these plants were specifically chosen by the traditional healer that I was using for the study, because they'd been using them. He'd been taught by his mother, she'd been taught by her mother, and who knows how long that line of traditional healers went back into time. But they'd used these plants that he had showed me for cancer treating properties. Now, the fact that we don't know about these plants is literally simply just a factor of economics. It costs about R1 million, which is 1/13 of $1 million today, if I have my figures right, to do one plant. So you can imagine in the Kruger National Park that has thousands of plants, how much money it would cost to test every single plant here against cancer. It's just, I know it doesn't sound right, we should be doing it with all the money that we spend on all the other useless endeavors humankind does, but there are massive organizations out there which are slowly but surely getting finances and churning through these plants, not just in South Africa, but in places with a much higher plant diversity, in places like all the rainforests and jungles in the world. I'm talking about the Amazon basin, I'm talking about Central America, we're talking about Indonesia. Massive amounts of plants here that haven't even been touched from a scientific point of view, let alone being tested specifically for cancer. We've got plant-rich communities. I'm trying to think of the country that lies next to Tibet. I'm going to have to ask you geography nuts out there, possibly because we're running out of time, but the country that lies next to Tibet is one of the most medicinally the richest plant communities with the highest amount of medicinal uses on the planet, one of them, and that's being studied exhaustively. And so yes, we just don't have the money. We'll get there eventually though, and I hope that answered your question. I know we didn't get to the end of that, but I'm going to say goodbye because it is getting a bit dark to be out now, and I'm going to send you over to Taylor, who I think has managed to find Karula for you, which is quite exciting.
We did. I actually was just about to ask Steph as to where he'd left Shongile, and well, we didn't need any directions at all. We just came back towards Chele Pan, and I turned off the vehicle to listen to see if I could hear her still calling away. And, well, to my surprise, she came walking out of the bushes. Hosana and Shongile are also around. They're just sitting further back in the long grass. And Karula walked right up to us and sat. She's 6 feet away from the vehicle. She is so close. Look at that. She sat down right here. She just seems to be enjoying the cars today, which is wonderful, right since this morning. And that's amazing that she's come and she feels comfortable around us. But she's also sitting on the cool mud because it is very, very warm at the moment. There the other two. And comes Shongile. Hosana is sitting further back in the grass. You might just be able to see his head. There he is, but we'll wait for him to come back around to us. Yes, there he comes. He can't be too far apart from his sister. Oh, this might be a very nice welcoming when they all regroup again. And they are so affectionate, leopards, especially when these cubs are at this age. Every time they see each other, constantly nudging heads, saying hello to each other, grooming each other, playing with each other, and all of this is ways that they strengthen the bond between each other. Look at that white tip on Shongile's tail. It stands out, say, when she starts twitching it. It's the first thing that you see. Now, it's a pity Karula didn't make her way this side about an hour ago because it was flooded with impala and one wildebeest and about 3 waterbuck. So she would have had lots and lots of pickings to choose from, but they have all moved on now. And, well, Shongile is now stalking her mother. Let's see how well she pounces on her. Now, you must better be careful, young lady, because your mother's very close to the water and she is bigger than you. There they go, walking right past. A little ankle tap. Well, an attempted ankle tap from Shongile. Look at her. She comes right up to the vehicle. Hello, girl. Now, when you do find yourself in the fortunate situation to have leopards approach you and sit next to you, it's amazing. And especially if it's your first time on safari, you can imagine you are absolutely thrilled and you're jumping for joy. But when they are so close, please just remember not to move around too much. Because if you start shuffling, they're definitely going to take more note of the vehicles. And we don't want them to, well, cross that barrier. Oh, Mom's giving her favorite little girl a good ear clean. And that's sort of where she targets most, is because those cubs can't groom their own ears, and they don't seem to like it very much. But you can imagine the parasite buildup of ticks and fleas and all of those goodies living inside there will be massive. So someone's got to do it, and it's an unfortunate job for Karula. I don't think that would taste very nice, pulling all of those ticks out. Oh, but you are so playful, Shongile. She is just the most precious little girl. I'm just scanning around at the moment, seeing if I can spot any more impala, but they've gone. Those 100 impala that were here have completely disappeared. No, Shongile doesn't want to be groomed. She's also snarling at her mother. Get away. Don't touch me. Here comes Hosana. But he has been spotted by Shongile. Look at this. Look at Hosana. Look how still he's standing. But he's been spotted now, so there's no chance. I'm going to launch an attack anyway. Oh, no. He went to, and then I thought he just better not waste the energy. Hello, Mom. I'm next. Groom me. He seems to enjoy the attention that he gets from Mom. Oh, look at those big white pearly teeth. Now, Time Warp, you've said that your comment was that you sometimes think that these animals get a sort of false sense of security from a stationary vehicle. You could definitely be right, but I don't know what the predators would be gathering from us, because they normally, they're used to sitting up and fast asleep, not really worrying too much what's really around them. Here we go, Karulu has said, hey, that's enough, I'm done with that. But I would imagine that from something like a warthog or a non-predator. I think they would feel safe behind something so big. Oh, are they going to have a drink? No? Karula's going in the right direction, though, because I think that's where the impala have gone. Hopefully they don't take us on too much of a run around, because it's getting dark and it makes off-roading quite difficult for us. Shongololo, you're not going to go anywhere. There the others are. You angle this little light. What you doing, Hosana? Are you using the luxury facilities? No, you're laying down. Oh, he's planning an attack for his sister, who's walking on this game path. Look how camouflaged he is. You can just see his rear end and his tail sticking out. Shongile is looking off into the distance at Mom. And we must keep up with Karula, because if she disappears in here, we'll never find her again. Come on, Hosana. He's twitching. He wants to go. No. He's got distracted. There were some birds alarming, some drongos, so they must have spotted Karula. And that's why they all turned their heads and looked to the left. So we're just listening to those birds alarming. Let's see if she's going to get pounced on. No! Shongile has outwitted Hosana by just going the other way and ruining his plan. Shame. Shongile, your brother has been thinking about doing that to you all afternoon, and now you ruined him. Oh, he looks a bit sad. Just trying to see. There's lots of birds shouting about, but it's also that time of the day where they do give their last call. Oh, I've just seen impala running at the back. They're all running. Look, can you see all those impala just through through that gap? They're quite far back. They're darting out of those bushes and then running from left to right. There they go. Now Karula's gone in there. I don't know where Karula is. Oh, there she is. You can see her just to the bottom right of your screen. Can you see that? There she's sitting. Look how camouflaged she is. There's the wildebeest I was telling you about. And the impala. Now, I don't think they quite know that she's here. They've been very, very quiet. Sorry, and I know I'm moving around a bit. I'm being bitten by mosquitoes at the moment. We're sitting at a dam. Let's go around. I think we must go around. So if we do see any action, we'll be able to watch it firsthand. At the moment, we're a bit stuck. We're behind all of these bushes. So we'll just reverse out very quickly onto the road. and then we'll watch from the road and we'll look into it. I think that will be the best spot. But she can hide very, very well there. If they don't know that she's there, that grass is exceptionally long, she'll just sneak around. Let's quickly take a better look. Although she's popped her head up quite high now. I'm going to just quickly dim all of my lights. Oh, something's biting me. I'm really not having much luck with the insects today. I don't know what I did to them. They feel that they need to attack me in full force. Eyes, legs. There she is. So most of those impala have moved off in the thicket, but this is actually going to work in her favor because it is very, very thick on the right-hand side of the road. Like I said, we won't follow her in. We'll just try and stick to the road and give her a bit of room because there's a perfect situation where she could potentially catch something. And if she can catch a big ram like those impalas that we saw darting across the screen, there she goes. She's slinking away. So she's trying to get in front of them now. And what she might do is actually just sit in the grass and wait for them to come towards her. Hosana and Shongile are hanging back for the moment. Now you see, if we go in there, I think we're going to ruin her hunt, and I really don't want to ruin her hunt. So let me go and check. I just want to go up a bit further, see what's going on down here. There might be a gap. If we can find a nice clear pathway through, then we'll go, but I don't want to go clanking through. Here we go, here's a little spot. I don't want to go driving over too many bushes. So it's nice and open. I can't see any impala just yet. But I think that they're all in here. Yes, there's impala down there. She's just sitting over here. And this is actually suiting us perfectly now because it's open enough for us to maneuver around without making too much noise. There she is. You can just see her popping out. Now, Karula, you need to actually come down towards where we are, and go past us because there's a big herd of impala over there. I wish you could understand me. And I haven't seen Shongile and Hosana coming this way, so I think that they know that they need to hang back just until Mom decides what she's going to get up to. Let me get a little... I'm wanting to put the spotlight on her while I can't see any impala. But as soon as I see the impala and they're in close proximity, I will turn all the lights off. We won't illuminate her properly, we'll just put a little bit of light on her. See, even the flies are getting Karula, did you see that? How she keeps licking her paws. I think they're biting her too. Oh, that's a difficult one to get there. Where's she gone? She's just tucked herself right behind the shrub. I'm just trying to find a spot where I can get the light on her. There we go. Looking, listening, you can see how her eyes are completely dilating now. This is when she is going to flourish. She's got the upper hand on these animals. She better think quickly though while we've got this crepuscular light, because this confuses the diurnal animals. This is the toughest time of the day to see because it's a clear sky tonight. There isn't much moon, but the stars are unbelievable out here, and they give off quite a bit of light too. You'll be surprised as to how much you can see even just with starlight on a clear night. Come on, girl, this is your best opportunity. Is dart on in. I'm surprised that she hasn't actually made an attempt and run in a little bit further while they're all moving in the opposite direction. We're not going to go anywhere. We're definitely going to sit with Karula and see what she gets up to. Jamie's, of course, with the Nkahuma Pride. They've been sleeping all day long. Let's go across to her and see if they're waking up.
They're awake, and we've waited all day long for them to get up and move, and so they have further in. We've got this truly extraordinary view of the lions through the trees. There is one cub, and 1 lioness. And once again, going about that whole process of desperately licking mom in the hope that perhaps she might just produce some little bit of milk. It might be my imagination, but I think it's that male cub. The one remaining male cub. There's a little bit of fluffiness to its cheeks that's making me think that. And I think it was that one earlier as well. It might be he's doing so much growing that he's still obsessed a little bit with food, even if mom isn't producing milk anymore. And Joyce in New Hampshire, sorry, I nearly spoonerized those two. Joyce in New Hampshire, yes, we know the sex of the 6 cubs, 1 male and 5 females. It was originally 3 males and 5 females, but unfortunately the 2 that succumbed to white muscle disease were 2 males. So it's just 1 remaining male in this pride, which makes life more difficult for him. We spoke so much when all 8 of them were together about the fact that it would be so lovely to see a group of 3 young males growing up. Oh, sorry, Dave, I'm trying to keep this still. To have the 3 of them forming a coalition. But unfortunately, that is not to be. Now all the hopes of this young cub rest on Amber Eyes and that young female. Well, since this is such a spectacular sighting, we're going to sit here a bit longer. Taylor said she was going to do the same with Karula, who luckily is out in the open. Let's go back.
We are. She hasn't moved an inch since you were last with us. She's looking back towards where we left the cubs, and there are some drongos alarming. You may be able to hear them. Of course, as I say that, there was a Natal spur file calling, not a drongo alarming. But her attention is now drawn to the direction where those drongos are alarming. So I think Hosana and Shongile are playing about and not behaving, which is ideally not what Karula wants. She wants them to stay hidden, because if they play about like what's happening right now, all the other animals are going to start to alarm, and everyone's going to become quite suspicious and quite wary and almost step up their game a bit and be on their toes. And then this doesn't work in the favor of Karula. She relies on animals being slightly blasé about their surroundings. She's staring again off into the distance. She's also looking all around there. I don't see any impala near us at all. They've all seemed to have moved off now. Now, Lisa, you're wondering if Karula will give her cubs a sort of a warning or a sign to stay behind. I definitely so. We don't really see it though. So their communication, most of it I'm pretty sure is body language. And I think that these cubs are so old enough now that when they see her off stalking, they also have learnt that they mustn't follow. Because you saw that straight away. Hosana and oh, hang on, never mind. Look at this. Hosana, what are you doing here? You are not allowed to be here. Anyway, you can look, she's snarling at him. You see that? She's almost showing her frustrations towards him, saying, I told you to stay behind. And she's not exactly, that's what she's doing. So that's what she would have done. She would have said, you stay there, and you're supposed to stay hidden. Shongile is probably going to follow her brother now. Karula does not look impressed at all. And then, like you rightfully can see, it's sort of this displacement behavior. She's taking her frustration now out on those birds alarming, which we know has been caused by her cubs, and she's showing her frustration. And you saw Hosana didn't come anywhere near her for any love this time round. Oh, this is very funny. Oh, Hosana, you naughty little boy. But like I said, we're going to hang around still, and well, we'll sit and see what happens. We might go see where Shongile is. She's now having a heart attack about the flies that are biting her. She's not impressed now. She's gone from being in such a happy mood to a little bit angry and chasing the flies. But it seems as though Jamie's having a bit more luck now. One of the Nkuhuma lionesses has just made her way out into the open.
And made her way back in again. She did indeed come out into the open, and then she went back in. She came out to defecate, which was very considerate of her. And now she's back in. Oh dear, Dave. It was such a nice idea. It was a very good idea while it lasted. She was right out here, and then I thought, yay, she's going to get up and move. There's some angry elephants calling just to the west, so it means they'll probably go to the east, onto Juma. And she pulled that maneuver on us. I just want to see what she's going to do. Sit down is the answer. Oh, and we've got the fresh accompaniment of lion scat. That's a pleasant smell. Gosh, it's all gone so well, Dave. Swimmingly indeed. Let's swim our way back round again, I guess. I don't think we're going to be able to see from this side of the thicket. But we are going to sit this one out. We are going to show great persistence and patience, because patience is a key virtue out here. Whoa, we're going forwards into the tree. Helps if you put the car in reverse when you want to go backwards. Watch now. As we're trying to get around, they'll get up and disappear. Just because that's just the way it's been with these lions today. First we drove past them, then we just missed them. Crunch. Reversing in the dark. Okay, back to our old position. I wish I could tell them that if they go east, they've got a far better chance of finding the rest of their pride. I wish I could communicate that to them somehow. Because the lions have gone so quiet. The Nkumas haven't roared in weeks. Okay. Back once again. Dave, is that going to be as good as it gets? I think so, Dave. Spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. A truly... Wait, let me try going forward, because some of them have repositioned themselves. So maybe if I go forward, it will help. Watch, heads. Nope. Ashley, you want to know about whether or not lions have the same fur texture as domestic cats. I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing at our predicament. Ashley, it's much coarser. It's very coarse and very smelly. Well, lions, of course, are naturally quite smelly creatures. They're not too bothered about personal hygiene. Ooh, okay, Dave. That is a lion. Dave would like to know if that is a lion. It is a lion, believe it or not. The texture of their fur is much coarser. Can just see a lioness licking a cub. I'm going to send you back over to Karula while we wait for our lions to come out into the open. She says.
Before I say anything more, turn up the volume and have a listen to this. So you could hear that the impala was snorting. I'm not going to put the spotlight on them at the moment. Hosana came walking about, as you saw, and then he started running into the bushes, and all the impalas started alarming. So poor Karula's hard work, and she's actually surrounded by impala. It's just so thick here we couldn't see them. So what she's doing now, she's just waiting for it all to settle down again. And they're starting to stop alarming now. And hopefully she'll make her next move. She's now heard exactly where they are, which is good for her. I and hopefully Hosanna just sits down and stops interfering, because he's really going to only do more damage than anything. No, they've stopped now, which is good. So we won't put the spotlight on Karula just yet, just because if she does start to move again, like I said, she might have another opportunity to go after these impala. There are so many out here. But I wonder, with all those impala alarming, if the hyenas are going to move into the area. Because with all that activity now, it's definitely going to attract the attention of the hyenas. They'll be wondering what's going on, and Shongile is about to walk past the vehicle. Let's put the spotlight on. Actually, I'll just do this. Watch her, she's coming right next to us. Hello, girl. She's just... There she comes. Now, our beard, you're wondering when last did these leopards eat. I'm actually not sure. Oh my goodness, she's walked right. Look at her. I have to move out of the way. She's right next to me. They didn't look too thin. Here you go now. Just turn my light off again. They didn't look too thin this morning when we see them. It looked like they had a little belly. So maybe they got lucky and had something small to eat, even as small as a scrub hare. Just a little bite. See, now the impala down there are alarming. But the ones that were just around us are no longer alarming anymore. And Karula, Hosanna, and now Shongile is they're about to regroup again. They're just over there, but like I said, I don't know if I want to put the lights on, because everyone's just really stopped shouting that's close by. And I didn't hear that impala that was shouting not too far away. I didn't hear any brushing, sort of sound coming from it brushing through all the trees, so it could still be here. So we'll just sit patiently, we'll just sit. And this is what you have to do sometimes, is that when you're out on safari, it might not be the greatest for photography reasons. Sometimes you do just have to sit here and just wait patiently. There's one that sounds like it's desperately trying to snort. Perhaps it's a youngster that hasn't quite learnt just yet. Definitely struggling. Isn't that view just absolutely beautiful? It's really, really peaceful out here this evening, except for these poor impala that are being taunted by Karula. This is lovely. Do you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to make the call. I think we're going to leave these cats now. And the reason why I want to leave them is because Karoo... Hang on, no, she's moving again. She sat down and she laid down for a minute, so I thought that she was just going to have a rest and wait for everything to settle down. But we'll see. I'm just trying to see if I can see where she's going. Put a quick light up. Look how beautiful the moon is. Now, while you're looking at that moon, I'm just quickly trying to see where Karula is going. My goodness, that is unbelievable. You can even see the craters on the moon. That is fantastic. Look at that. That must be one of the best sightings of the moon I've ever seen. So I think Karula's given her two little ones strict instruction this time that they are not to move and not to follow her. She's slowly moving off. Straight in the direction of the impala that first started alarming. Right, let's go around quickly. Very cool shot there, Brian. I'm going to dim my lights. I'm going to try and go back through here the way that Karula came, because she's gone to the right now. What's wrong?
No.
Did you watch me whip my hair in my face?
No, I didn't went.
Because my ponytail has got so long now that when I move my head around too much, it'll get whipped in the face by it. Right, we're going to put our lights on just a little bit. Let's quickly go the scenic way around, so we'll give her a bit of room. So we're moving quite far away from her. Woo! Alright, spider webs might roll today. Okay, now I'm going to have to be quiet again as we come into here. So Donna, you've asked this lovely evening if it's dangerous for us as guides to be out here when it's dark. No, not at all, as long as you're not on foot. So that's why Steph had to go back, because if you can't see what's around you on foot, I mean, it's very, very dangerous to walk at night. And the game changes, especially when it comes to predators. But in the vehicle, you're fine. You don't want to view animals, though, that don't utilize the lights, the artificial lights, as a predator would. So if you were to shine a spotlight on an elephant, it would be very upset with you. And elephants are, of course, much larger than us. So you wouldn't want to do that. But otherwise, you're fine. You've just got to respect the animals. See, now I don't know. Okay, so there are impala down there, down that side. You can see a little bit. I'm not going to blind them, but you can see this, the tapetum flash. So I'm just shining it on the ground quite far away from them, and that's all it takes, just the tiniest little bit of light. So those are the impala standing there. There's a group of them. It looked like females, but they're looking directly in the same way in which Karula is moving. So let me quickly do a very quick scan. I can't see her, but she was coming through here. But now her attack has been sort of foiled once. So I think she's going to take it easy. Okay, we're going to sit in darkness. I'm not going to put the spotlight on anything else. We're just going to wait. And if we hear her make a kill, fantastic, then we'll put the spotlight on. But for the moment, we don't want to interfere at all. And I hope she gets lucky. I really do. They don't look like they need to eat right this minute, but I'm sure she'll be happy if she can catch something. It'll take the pressure off of her. I'm sure Hosanna puts a lot of pressure on his poor mother to constantly keep feeding him. But this could go either way. She could decide that it's not worth it and it's an absolute waste of time, and completely, well, will go off. But I think we're going to leave Karula now. I think it's best that we let her be, and hopefully we come here first thing in the morning and she has a surprise for us. But we're going to go across now back to Jamie, who has been sitting with those lions all day, hoping that they're going to make a move. And, well, for her, I really do hope that they decide to move around.
One of them has just decided to move around. I'm sorry. One of the cubs has just got up, and it might give us the best. Wait, let me do this. Sorry, Dave. Re-angle myself. There we go. That helps you, doesn't it? Sorry, I could see it perfectly. I wasn't thinking from your perspective. And back down again. This has been a truly enthralling afternoon spent with these lions, or at least the last half an hour of it or so. Well, it doesn't seem as though our patience has paid off this time. Next time it will. I'm just so hoping that they were going to pop out into the open, but they don't seem to be showing any signs of movement. Not that I'd be able to see it if they did. I'm usually at this point looking for any signs of yawning, paw licking, those sorts of things that might indicate that the lions are ready to get up and go. But since I can only see the tawny flank of two cubs, I can't really make a sort of determination. It is really beautiful, though, listening to the bird calls. I can hear a courser. A courser and a fiery-necked nightjar. That beautiful whistling cry of the nightjar that indicates that it is summer in the bush. I was hoping they were going to be accompanied by lion roarings. Exactly, Liz, you're on the same page as I am. You say, come on ladies, give us a roar. I know, Liz, I've missed the sound of them roaring. Since the Matimbas strolled back in and then moved north into Manuletti, we have not heard a single sound from them. In South Africa, we would say they have been choop still. On that note, it is time to say goodbye. I'm sorry our patience didn't pay off, but next time it will. So a big thank you to Dave for his wonderful camera work. Thank you, Dave.
My pleasure.
And thank you to Kirsty and Louise in Final Control. Most importantly, a big thank you to all of you. I do hope you've had a marvelous sunset safari. It certainly had plenty of different animals to show you. We will catch up with you on the sunrise safari, where hopefully, fingers crossed, the Nkuhumas will treat us to a truly spectacular sighting. Our patience might just pay off. We'll see you then.